Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
Make a mistake. We're not going anywhere. This is going to be a great program, and we're building it into a great program.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I stand by what we do and how we do it.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Champagne celebrations, tequila shots. What else? Up downs, streaking through campus. Olin Buchanan celebrating the Texas Rangers World Series victory. Congratulations to all you Ranger fans, and of course you, my buddy, and Gabe, and all those Ranger fans out there. Chip Howard. Who am I missing? Rusty Burson. Yeah. Congratulations, guys. Hey, it's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan. You texted me. I didn't see it when you texted me, but there was a text that said, I'm headed to the Angry Elephant.
Right, because I was going to stay at home and watch until I felt confident.
Yep.
And I didn't feel confident until Marcus Semien hit the home run that gave him a 5-0 lead. So
all in the ninth inning.
Yeah, so it was funny because Irma was already in bed. And I said, I'm going. She said, you can't go this late. I said, the hell, I can. You know, this may never happen again. It's been 50-something years. I'm going to go celebrate. She said, well, let me get up and go with you in case, you know, because I can't hold my liquor probably, even though I thought I did fine.
I think it's our Luke Evangelist. I believe it was Luke who tweeted, what a good couple of years for Metroplex sports. Rangers went to the conference finals, I think, last year. Not Rangers, excuse me, Stars went to the conference finals last year. The Mavs went 2 seasons ago. The Rangers won the World Series. There was another one he put on there, and we'll see what the Cowboys do to finish out this year. But it's been a nice start for them.
Yeah, if the Aggies win and the Cowboys beat the Eagles this week, it'll be like the perfect football week for me.
What if
or sports week for me?
What if I told you that your Rangers World Series victory meant the Aggies would struggle again and the Longhorns would win the national championship? Do you still take that Rangers championship?
What do you mean?
I'm not going to make you answer
define struggle again.
I don't know. 6-6.
Well, seeing as though right now they're out of the championship picture, you know, I'd probably say, well, yeah, what's the difference really between 6-6 and 7-5 or 8-4?
Remember, there's the added caveat: Longhorns win it all.
The Longhorns don't. I root against them, but they don't affect me.
There you go. That's a good answer.
I worry about Alabama and LSU and Ole Miss.
Real teams.
Yeah, Texas is just another team out there. They might as well be. Cal, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, buddy, let's talk about some unfortunate news. We had some really good news to start off the show. Bobby Knight does pass away. I hadn't seen him in a while. I didn't realize he was ill. Maybe it was out there. I didn't realize that he was ill. I saw a video of him last night of the last couple of years. Didn't look like the Bobby Knight that I had grown to, you know, that strong, fiery dude. Did you have any encounters with Bobby throughout the years?
Not really. I was sent to Lubbock to cover his press conference. You might remember it when he was introduced as the Texas Tech coach, and they did it in the arena.
Yeah.
And then they lined up the reporters to ask him questions, and they let all the fans stay in so they could boo the reporters through questions.
Yeah.
So I was present for that, but I never had any, you know, one-on-one time with him or even 3-on-1 or things like that. It's just that one.
I asked one question. I think it was the 2005. I might be wrong on the year. 5 or 6 Big 12 basketball media days. I believe they used to do that in Dallas. Does that sound right?
Sounds right.
That was my only encounter.
Maybe
with
Kansas City, but
maybe yeah. I remember going to both. That was my own. It was one question, and I think it was something to do with Billy Gillespie or something Aggie related. But my only encounter, and I remember being extremely nervous because I was still a young buck in the industry, even though I was a man. I was freaking 30, but I hadn't really asked questions, right? And I remember the first time I asked Billy a question, Billy Gillespie. It was about Joseph Jones. I've told this story on the air, but I remember reading in some publication that Joseph Jones was going to be. This is before he kind of blew up. One of the best forwards in the Big 12. And I asked Gillespie, what has Joseph Jones done to be one of the best forwards in the Big 12? And Gillespie's response to me, how do you know that? He hasn't done it. What makes you think? Are you the authority on something to that effect? So that was in the back of my mind when I'm asking Coach Knight a question after seeing some of his encounters throughout the years. But if I remember correctly, he answered nicely and gave a good soundbite.
I always heard that one of Bobby Knight's best friends was actually a sports writer. The local sports editor at the Bloomington paper. I can't remember the guy's name. So sometimes you wonder how much of the bluster was for show.
Yep.
I'm sure not all of it. Great basketball coach. His teams were very disciplined. But he might have had trouble coaching today with all the other things going on. Because I don't know if that you can be as strict a disciplinarian anymore.
No, you can't. You can't. I forget what topic on the show yesterday. It wasn't even about Bobby Knight, but I tend to gravitate towards fiery personalities. Like those are the guys that I like. And some of the names I mentioned, I think I was talking to Peter Burns. Charles Barkley, like my favorite athlete of all time.
Okay.
Sergio Ramos, you don't know who that is, but the certain Draymond Green. Everybody hates him. I love Draymond Green. All right. Okay. But when you're that kind of personality, to be that, you have to play with this edge that gets you in trouble often, right? And it's kind of like you just kind of accept it. Oh man, you don't do that now, right? Like there's the negotiation with it. But I also think you need some of that mental toughness in sports, and that's how I look at Bobby. That look, he made some mistakes. There's no doubt about that, big mistakes. But I think I would want my kid to play in that environment because that guy loved his players. He loved his players.
If they
worked.
Yeah, he was kind of like
don't headbutt my kid.
To make the football comparison in a way, he was kind of like Bear Bryant.
Yeah,
he's a tough guy, but if you went through the rigors and gave it all for him, then he loved you for it. Even though what was odd about him, though, it seems like say once Steve Alford moved on and became a coach and beat him, then it was like
he didn't love him anymore.
Right. Yeah. So,
but sometimes you become a caricature of yourself.
Right. There was a lot. He was a complicated person.
He was great. Like we talked. Maybe it was about Lane. Maybe we were talking about Lane yesterday. But like, you need heroes and villains like that in sports. Right?
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes it more interesting.
Like, what is Saban? Is Saban considered a hero or a villain?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to, I guess.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think now nationally I think you become a hero even if you are a villain if you've been successful over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And no one's been more successful than him.
Yep. So thoughts and prayers to the Bobby Knight's family. I interviewed his son, Pat, when he was at Lamar.
Okay.
I don't remember it being a great interview. I remember him being a little difficult, but I think he had a little successful run for Lamar.
I had no dealings with Pat Knight. I know people that did, and what I heard about him was he was all right. So I guess it depends on the day, maybe.
Like all of us, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like all of us. The other news that Billy had reported, but I guess it hit social media yesterday. Billy had reported it, I think, earlier in the week, or maybe it was last week, honestly. N.I. White done for the year. We saw it. I mean, he was on the field in crutches on Saturday, so done for the year.
Yeah, that's, you don't ever want that to happen to anybody. That young man has talent.
Yeah.
He's just playing in a or was playing in a position that's really stacked. But I think he's somebody that'll come back strong. Hopefully, come back to A&M.
Hopefully.
And I would think I would still be optimistic for the contribution that he could make for Texas A&M in the future.
OB, at 8:35, I want to kind of go through your column through stifling defense. A&M hopes to find its road game redemption. We'll do that here in a couple of segments, but I bring it up because you had a couple of notes on there of how these road losses have happened, right? And it sparked anger in my heart, to be honest with you. But in doing so, you talked about some, can they stop the run? And I look at the top rushing teams in the SEC, and this is more for conversation's sake now. We'll get into some of the heartache later. Tennessee ran all over A&M. They lead the SEC in rushing, 1,774 yards. Right,
but not like Ole Miss ran on them last year.
No. But 223 is a lot.
Yeah, 223, especially against this defense.
The number 2 rushing team in the SEC is?
Is it Ole Miss?
Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And, no, excuse me. I'm sorry. No. Tennessee, LSU, then Ole Miss.
Okay.
And we play both of those teams on the road this year. Mm-hmm. By the way, the 4th team, Auburn, and A&M did a great job stopping the Auburn rush attack. Auburn and Ole Miss are actually very close. Now, you can say Ole Miss is close because Quinshon Judkins missed a couple games to start and wasn't himself when he first came back. Ole Miss as a team, 1,500 rushing yards. Auburn as a team, 1,488.
Yeah, Quinshon Judkins, he's hot. He's had back-to-back 124-yard games. 4 games ago against LSU, he had 177 yards. Stopping the running game is priority 1, but we knew that would be the case. They have a good passing quarterback, in my opinion, not a great one, but good. I mean,
yep.
And he can hit an open receiver, do a little more than that. And their receivers, though good, Trey Harris, for instance, I might be way off on this. It strikes me that they don't have the same caliber that they've had in the past when you've had Laquan Treadwell or the Moncrief, even the guy Elijah Moore, the guy who pretended to be a dog urinating and got a penalty and cost them a game, but he was really good. I don't know if they have that high caliber NFL guy.
Let me ask you this.
Maybe they do.
We knew Jermaine Burton had all the intangibles, but we didn't. I don't think anybody would have predicted the kind of game he had against A&M.
Right.
Do they have anybody like that?
I don't think they have anybody as good as Jermaine Burton. I think if I was picking guys for my team, Jermaine Burton would be picked before any of the Ole Miss guys.
Yep.
But I think that maybe they would be next. The kid, like I said, Harris, the kid who's a transfer from Louisiana Tech, he's a good player.
Yeah.
He's good. I'm not saying they may have NFL caliber guys. I'm just saying I don't see them as being the kind of guys that were drafted pretty early like some of the guys they've had.
This is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. I'm having a sip right now. Good acting or bad acting? It was a real sip.
I
wasn't thinking about a sip until I said it out loud.
Yeah. Well, then you weren't acting because you were actually drinking.
But it felt like an act. I was like, I'm doing it on camera. Beat the hell out of morning by going to TexAgs.com/coffee and ordering yourself some of the TexAgs coffee. Some of the reviews are already up on the board. People are liking it. And we're going to do, you want to do number 12 again or 4? What do we do? Yesterday we did 4. What number do you want to do today on the text line?
5 for 5-0, the score last night.
5-0. All right. 5th texter on the text line. 979-693-1150. You'll get yourself a free bag of TexAgs coffee. So just go ahead and do that. If you want to be part of the conversation this morning, you can do that by calling us up on the Brian Foley hotline. Good people can have a bad day. Call Brian Foley, 936-596, serving Houston, the Woodlands, Conroe, and the Brazos Valley. We'll go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center there in a moment. But first, let's say hi to Nick Savage behind the glass, baseball savant. Nick, good morning, buddy.
I am. Well,
you like baseball?
I do.
How about liker of baseball?
Yeah, that works. But congrats, OB, and all the Rangers fans out there. It's a fun time, so soak it in. But, yeah, I guess my mind has kind of started thinking more about the Ole Miss game coming up this weekend. And I'm telling you, man, I say it a lot. I feel like I'm a broken record, but I hope we can see some deep shots down the field against that Ole Miss defense. I think, regardless if they're all hitting, you got a chance to draw PIs, so hopefully that's in the game plan. Hopefully they can execute on that a little bit going into Oxford this weekend.
How many, we see deep shots, but we don't see successful deep shots really in how long?
Well, do you consider the pass on ice just for the half to be a deep shot?
I would say.
Yeah. Was it
turned
deep,
it into
though?
a deep
He turned
shot.
it into, I'm saying actual throwing.
It was probably a 20-yard,
Was it a 20-yard throw?
20-yard pass.
Okay.
It was a 42-yard touchdown, and I would say he threw it 21 yards downfield. Now, if it threw it further than that, considering where he was.
Sure.
And then Anias picked up the
yes.
last 21.
Then yes.
So that would be, they tried a deep ball to Evan on a go route.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd like to see more.
I would exactly like to see that. Anything else, Nick?
No, sir. That's all.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Leanna Davison. Leanna, say hi.
Good morning. How is everyone?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm
tired,
good.
but
I'm doing
good.
well. Yeah. OB's recovering from his little drinking last night. But we have a fair few updates for this week around Aggie land, so bear with me.
Yep.
Today we have women's and men's tennis continuing their play at ITA National Four Championships in San Diego. Women's soccer will play against Georgia at 7:30 in the SEC semi-final tonight after coming off a 1-0 win in the quarterfinal against South Carolina. Tomorrow, equestrian will be at number 7 South Carolina, commencing at 9 a.m. Men's and women's swimming and diving will compete against Georgia Tech and Texas at 3 p.m. Volleyball will play Alabama at 6:30 p.m. Then on Saturday, we have softball versus TWU, 6 p.m. for another fall exhibition game at home. Women's and men's swimming and diving will continue against Georgia Tech at 10 a.m. as well. And then on Sunday, we have volleyball versus Auburn, 3 p.m. at Reed.
Got to get it done. Got to get a big weekend for Aggie volleyball.
Sounds like a big weekend for a lot of things.
A lot of things, especially the football team going on the road.
Especially the football team. It's time to exercise the demon that is Lane Kiffin.
I was asked yesterday by a mutual friend of ours, Neil McCready. I think he asked you the same question. Why does A&M struggle on the road? Do you have an answer for that?
Well, here's part of it. In most cases, they're playing good teams on the road.
Okay.
So, especially in the SEC, when you're at home, a good team at home is hard to beat. Now, that doesn't explain Auburn last year. It doesn't explain getting down 17-0 to
South Carolina.
I don't know.
I don't know either. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Also want to get into your Heisman list when we come back here on TexAgs Radio. Maybe a good idea would be before they leave on Thursdays for these road trips to stop by Fargo's. It's just a suggestion out there. You want to get good food, good nutrition. Yeah. We're talking about good people. Fargo's is the place to stop by, OB, to get your food on. And on Thursdays, they got the pork chop.
You could get it grilled, or you could get it fried, and then you would have sides. You could get macaroni and cheese,
which is my favorite.
You could get green beans. You could get red potatoes. You can get all the colors of the rainbow.
I love that.
Or you could say, you know what, though? I want brisket today. You can still get that. I want sauce. You can still get that. I want some pork ribs.
It is a barbecue joint.
It's a barbecue joint.
You're going to get what you want.
But they're going to have
But they have specials.
They got a special.
And special is a little reduced, Thursday. And it's just it's put together.
And you get 2 of those pork chops. You don't just get 1.
Technically, you get like 6. It's 2, but they're huge.
They are big pork chops.
They are, and they're thick.
They are.
Big, thick pork chops there. Fargo, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan, without a doubt. The what?
The best barbecue in Texas, i.e. the world.
You know that's their trademark.
I do know that because it's true.
Yep, it's Fargo's. Go check it out. And we're back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looks so good with Maroon U. It is now time for the Heisman Watch, brought to you by Shurtleff Law Firm. Shurtleff Law Firm, delivering justice for those who need it most. OB, where do we begin? Do we have a shakeup or not?
Just some minor adjustments. I still have Bo Nix on my radar.
Okay.
I'm not buying the Michigan quarterback yet, McCarthy, until he plays somebody.
They haven't played anybody.
They played nobody. You can't get somebody the Heisman Trophy based on the competition they played.
Right.
So I moved from 4th down to 5. Malik Neighbors, the LSU wide receiver, the nation's leader in receiving yardage. You know, they were idle last year, so he could not increase that total, but he has a great opportunity to enhance his resume against Alabama this week. Overall, 56 receptions for, like I said, a national leading 981 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns. You know what? He's exceeded 100 yards receiving in 5 of the games and has at least 67 receiving yards in every game this year.
He is legit, man.
He is.
That offense is legit. Like, it's what do you think about this weekend?
I think I'm taking Alabama at home.
But you're close to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could. If someone told me you had to take LSU, I'd say, okay. Because I think that LSU is going to score. I think they're probably going to score in the high 20s to low 30s. And I know their defense is not very good.
Yep.
It's generous. But is Alabama's offense explosive enough to fully exploit them?
Well, Jermaine Burton exploited the secondary here.
And they scored 24 points on offense.
And they did score, but different type of defense.
True.
Different front that stopped the run completely.
Would it surprise you if LSU won 34-31?
Nope.
Would it surprise you if Alabama won 34-31?
Nope.
Would it surprise you if LSU won 41-20?
No.
Really? That would surprise me.
So here's my deal. I've been thinking Alabama all week long, but every day I'm getting closer to LSU. And maybe because I'm just reading, like, that offense does travel. But again, how close were they losing the Missouri game? And even though Missouri's a really good team, we would look at them differently had that last couple minutes of that game gone differently.
Yeah, and it's because, again, but Missouri has an offense that can exploit a bad defense. I don't know. Maybe Alabama does, but I question it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take it Alabama.
Yep.
Okay, number 4, I moved up from number 5, is Marvin Harrison Jr., the Ohio State wide receiver. You know, he's been virtually unstoppable the last month. Last week, he exceeded 100 receiving yards for the 4th consecutive game and the 6th time this season. He caught 6 passes for 123 yards and had 2 touchdowns in that 24-10 win over Wisconsin. He now ranks 7th in the nation in receiving. He has 48 catches, 889 yards, and 8 touchdowns.
Here's the thing about Ohio State. These brand names, these Bamas, these Ohio States, the years that I expect them to be bad, they're just great. Like, they are a real program that they don't have bad years. Like, their bad years are legit
10-win seasons, right? Yeah.
Like, that's just – I didn't think they were going to be that good. I thought they were going to be the 3rd team in the Big Ten. I was wrong. I had Penn State. I had Michigan winning at all this season, but I had Penn State as the number 2 team, and I'm wrong.
No, that's – all right. You know, I mean, you said you probably had Ohio State 3.
Yeah, I did.
Right.
I did.
Speaking of number 3, I have Jordan Travis, the Florida State quarterback, had his most productive game of the season in that 41-16 victory over Wake Forest last week, passed for 359 yards and 3 touchdowns. That raises his season total to 2,109 yards with 18 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions this year. He's also rushed for 205 yards and 6 touchdowns for the undefeated Seminoles, and I think that's another feather in his cap that he has a win over LSU, he has a win over Duke.
Do you think they finish the season undefeated?
Yeah, I'm starting to think they do.
Yeah.
Who's going to beat them? That's left on their schedule. Florida?
Nah.
I don't think so.
Miami?
Maybe. Do they have Miami?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
I don't know.
So I was looked at their schedule once, and I remember thinking, yeah, they're not going to lose, but I can't remember who they're playing other than Florida.
I'm actually pulling up their schedule as we speak right now, my friend, as it comes up. Florida State football, they've got Miami on the 11th. So
I would take Florida State over Miami.
I would too. But I've got Pitt. So Florida State's got Pitt this weekend. They host Miami. They host North Alabama. And they go to the Swamp and take on Florida.
Yeah. So the prospects of going unbeaten, they'll have to, I don't know who they'd play in the ACC championship game, but the prospects of them going unbeaten look really good. Number 2, I have Michael Penix, the Washington quarterback, the nation's leading passer, threw for 369 yards and 4 touchdowns last week against Stanford. He's on the season passed for 2,945 yards, 24 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions for the unbeaten Huskies.
If they make their way to the playoffs, will he be your Heisman number 1?
Well, I don't know, because I got to see what Jaden Daniels is going to do the rest of the year. Because I have Jaden Daniels, the LSU quarterback, number 1 on my list. And as we know here, a win over Alabama can do wonders for your Heisman campaign. And they won't beat Alabama unless Jaden Daniels has a big game.
Yep.
All right. So if they beat Alabama, that means Jaden Daniels had a big game. If Jaden Daniels has a big game against Alabama, then I think that makes him the undisputed front runner in the Heisman race.
Agreed.
Look, he's the nation's leader in total offense. He has accumulated 3,094 yards. He's passed for 2,573 yards with 25 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. And he's also rushed for 521 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, he may make a run. I'm not saying he's going to rush for 1,000 yards, but he may make a run at 1,000 yards while throwing for over 3,000.
How much does he have eligibility left? I mean, I know he's expected to go in the draft, but does he have eligibility left?
I think he would because of I don't know this for a fact,
because the COVID
but I think
year?
he would because of the COVID year.
Huh. Okay. I mean, he might be one of the, what have you read about him? He's one of the top quarterbacks they're looking at for NFL draft, right? He's not number 1 or 2, but he's in that first round talk, I believe.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it that closely. I do know that, all the talk goes around, most of the talk goes around Caleb Williams and Drake May. Jaden's not the biggest guy. He's not a little guy, but he's not the biggest guy. Maybe that scares some people off. But you know what? I don't know what his NFL prospects are. I'm sure he'll get a chance to play. He'll probably be on an NFL roster, but he has become a heck of a college quarterback.
Yeah. No, he absolutely has. He is.
He's a lot better than he was last year.
And I honestly, when he got to LSU, I had my questions. I think you did as well.
I thought he was good at Arizona State, but nothing, to get too excited about.
Not to have a kind of year that he's having.
Right.
Nothing spoke to that. That's a credit to what LSU's been able to do.
So, I mean, give credit where credit is due. If he wins this week, congratulations, but still hope he loses in his final game.
Yeah. According to, what's his name? Mel Kiper, he's the fastest riser in the draft this year.
I can see that.
And you beat Alabama, you got yourself a nice little.
You might get yourself a big, ugly trophy.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's hit a break here. By the way, that is the Heisman Watch brought to you by Shirtlift Law Firm. When we come back, let's go into some of these road woes.
Okay.
And some of the notes that you pointed out that, the reminder upset me, and I want our audience to be upset for a few minutes. Okay, that's what I want to do.
Misery loves company.
I want to ruin everybody's day. But then I also want to have something happy about afterwards, right? Hey, they won on the road. Yay. Wearing a Charge Apparel shirt. That's the way I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm assuming. I don't know yet because it depends when I wake up on that morning. But I'm assuming I'm going to be wearing a Charge Apparel shirt on Saturday when A&M is taking on Ole Miss. And Charge Apparel, the shirts, they fit the best. Doesn't matter how tall, big, skinny, or the other side that you may be. The shirts are going to fit you slightly tailored, not completely tailored, slightly tailored fit through the chest and the arms, designed to make you look your absolute best, made here in the United States because they care about the U.S. economy. That's what they do there. A couple of good old Aggies out there. Travis and Tucker met in the Corps. They went into the military, and afterwards they formed the Charge Apparel, where 12% of their total sales, not just the profits, are donated to veterans, veteran nonprofit partners with a focus on mental health initiative, an ode to the 12th man, no doubt about it. They are based out of Austin, but they just love College Station and Texas A&M. A, they went to school here, and B, they visit all the time, class of 2014. Check out the website, thechargeapparel.com, thechargeapparel.com, or find them on Instagram, The Charge Apparel, or on X, The Charge Brand. We are back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio, the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. Their headquarters is on Highway 6 right here in College Station. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. And OB, the road losses. And it's so disappointing when I was going through, you had it, bulleted there, and it's through your column, through stifling defense, A&M hopes to find its road game redemption. I'm looking through these. I'm going to read them and just see, let's get a reaction. Ready?
There's Shawshank Redemption. I don't know if you read the article, but
oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
There were 2 late interceptions in Oxford.
Yeah, one was a pick six.
We remember. It was a close game at that point.
I thought A&M was going to go down and score. Didn't even bring up the safety, but 2 just for the half. But they got down 15-0. They came back, had a chance to take the lead. Had Devon A-Chain back there, and then 2 interceptions, 1 pick six.
Then there was the last-minute touchdown pass by LSU.
Shouldn't have ever happened. Damani Richardson had stolen the ball on the punt. Should have been over.
But
it wasn't. It's SEC official. So Max Johnson, he had converted a 4th down.
He had time in that pass.
And then he's always under pressure. And then, in the last minute, the long touchdown pass to beat them.
The Mississippi State game, by the way, I'm going to read what happened, but there was a couple mistakes in that game. Devon had a fumble that really kind of changed that would have put them up.
That would have put them up 7-0.
7-0. All right. And then there was the offsides block field goal right before the half, I believe.
Yeah, that never should have happened. And again, SEC officials letting you down. There's no doubt. There's no question. I think it was Emmanuel Forbes, who blocked the field goal. No question he was offsides. And yet, SEC officials going to sleep.
Yep.
And that really changed the game. A&M had so many opportunities to score, though. I remember Evan Stewart having a big drop on what would have been a touchdown pass. That happens sometimes. They had so many times to score in the red zone and either have to settle for field goals or, turn around,
Sounds familiar.
Kind of sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. Then this one, the final play versus Alabama, which I didn't like the play call. I know some people
still don't.
I didn't like it. I think Devon A-Chain has to be used in some way, shape, or form as a decoy, as something. But
it was a low percentage play for 2 yards. If you wanted to throw an old-fashioned fade to Evan Stewart 1-on-1 and the spectacular catches he had been making, okay. But you're asking your quarterback to make a perfectly precise throw at the pylon. I just didn't. I thought the success percentage was really low.
How about the 17-0 hole in the first 5 minutes of the South Carolina game?
Right, because I couldn't say I couldn't say the opening kickoff because then there was the interception, and there was the quick snap and you're down 17-0 before you even knew the game was started.
Yep.
So there's that 17-0 sleepwalk to start the South Carolina game, and you still almost came back and won.
Yep. Sleeve gate.
There were so many things. The offense was in a coma.
Yeah.
They scored the touchdown in a 13-10 loss to Auburn late in the game. But I think what you remember is the Moose Muhammad, the issue with the sleeve, so he didn't play. You didn't have Devon A-Chain that play. You needed your best guys out there, and you didn't have them because of sleeves.
Yeah. How about this one hurts more. This one hurts more because we know what this defense is. The loss to Miami because nobody could tackle any pressure on the quarterback.
240 yards plus of yards after catch.
Yep.
That's unacceptable. And then there was also the kickoff return for a touchdown in that one.
Don't remind me.
There was missed opportunities offensively. But the thing that really stands out to me is the fact that you just didn't or couldn't tackle.
Couldn't. And then the punt return for a touchdown versus Tennessee.
Tennessee took the lead there and never gave it back. And it was a short punt. You had a chance. Oh, should I say this and get myself in real trouble?
Do it. As
I mean,
long as I don't get in trouble.
Okay, I'm gonna offend a lot of people, a lot of Aggies here. They're gonna be mad at me, but
maybe not then.
The one person on that touchdown return by Tennessee who had the best chance to make the tackle was the 12th man, and maybe it's time to say that's a great tradition. Let's keep that guy on the kickoff, which is how it started, and let's limit it to the kickoff because. These scholarship players, I think you should get scholarship guys out there to try to tackle scholarship players. I don't mean to single the guy out, but his fact of the matter is had the best chance to tackle, missed the tackle. That ended up being the touchdown that might have cost you the game. And just in my opinion, I know the vast majority are not going to agree with me and they're going to villainize me for that. But I just say, let's get some scholarship guys out. Get your best players out there at all times.
If I remember correctly, in the Miami game, the opening kickoff, he's the one who made that first tackle, right?
I'm not saying he's incompetent.
I try to be the yin to the yang.
Keep him on the kickoff.
Yep.
That's how it started.
But the bottom line is, when you look at this list of things, it isn't just one thing. A lot of them feel similar, but a
lot of them are similar.
But it's when you consistently say, the officials missed this, and which they did. They missed one last week in South Carolina. They absolutely do. When you throw interceptions late in games, when you give up special teams touchdowns, when you give up special teams touchdowns to start a game or start a half, or you find yourself in a big hole, or you've got issues on the sidelines, or you can't make a tackle. That's a lot of issues. It's not just one. They feel the same because it's just something new every week, right? Now you've got to find a way to not make those mistakes. It would be great.
Break the cycle.
Let's not have penalties. Let's not have, look, teams are going to move the ball because we're in that era of college football. Don't help them.
Don't help them. Well, you say that in all these games, count the games that had a non-offensive touchdown. That loss in Oxford had a non-offensive score. Had a touchdown too. They had the pick six and a safety. The Mississippi State had a pick six and the blocked field goal.
Right. Oxford was a pick six.
I mentioned that one. Yep. South Carolina.
Opening kickoff,
and they didn't score on a pick six, but they certainly set one up.
Miami.
And then Tennessee.
So five of those games, non-offensive touchdown.
Yeah, so maybe start by cleaning that up.
All right. It looks like Stephen McGee has arrived. So let's hit a break here. We'll come back with Esteban McGee. Right now, excited to introduce our new sponsor, Brian Foley of Brian Foley Law. He's been a long-time listener to TexAgs radio and been a subscriber to TexAgs.com. Good old dude right there. He is board certified. Only 7% of attorneys in Texas are qualified with that distinction, and Brian is one of those. And here's the thing. We all make mistakes, guys. Your kids are away at college. They make mistakes. Adults make mistakes. Game day. And if you've been arrested for some mistake out there, like DWI, a vape pen, or being at the wrong place at the wrong time, let Brian Foley represent you. And the cool thing, and when I say cool thing, is he's worked on both sides, right? He's a former chief prosecutor that knows the system inside and out, so he can find ways to get you out, guys. Good people can have a bad day. The next day, start by calling a criminal defense lawyer and DWI lawyer, Brian Foley. If you or a loved one have been arrested or charged with a crime, you're probably filled with anxiety and fear, give Brian a call. He's going to help you take back your life. Brian Foley Law covers Houston, the Woodlands, Conroe, and as well as College Station and Bryan College Station. Call Brian Foley, 936-596-0407. He answers, and he has a personal touch. He'll be the one who answers your phone call, 936-596-0407 or brianfoleylaw.com. And we're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Myself, OB, and Stephen McGee, our QB1, is in the house from Paragon Financial. Stephen, good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
What is he looking at?
I'm being nosy. I always am whenever I'm sitting next to
his
OB's
OnlyFans
computer.
page.
He's on Southwest Airlines booking flights to Harlingen.
Well, they have a special going.
Okay.
And my wife has a niece who has one of those. I'm sorry, people. I don't mean to. One of those Mexican ceremonies.
Quinceañera?
Yeah, maybe something
for
like
15-year-olds.
I don't know if that's what it is, but it's
Some
something
kind
like
of ceremony.
that.
Yeah.
And she got this real fancy looking invitation.
Okay.
In the mail yesterday, and it's like next week. And I was telling her, hey, here's some prices on flights. If you know. So I was just letting her know.
Just look at
during the break.
Are you going to go?
Yeah, I might have to, be at Kyle Field next week.
Oh, sure. True. It's a weekend.
I don't know. You can take the weekend off. Couple things for you, Stephen. First off, I want to read this. So this was said on, I guess Chip Howard interviewed Lane Kiffin on the conference call. And he says, A&M, Lane Kiffin on A&M. A&M is the best 5-3 team of all time.
Man, I'm sure if Lane Kiffin is on your side,
you like him.
You like him.
Yeah.
He's had success. He's a good play caller, I don't enjoy him as an Aggie. Like, I'm tired of it now. It's like, dude had beef at the end of last year's game, prior. It's constant, man. I'm like, just
chill out, bro.
Yeah, chill. Like, what's the need to?
It's that new generation, though. They got to get likes and retweets, and he's all about that.
And what we're talking about, to me, though, there's this interesting dynamic with Lane Kiffin and his A&M thing is somehow he's become the sympathetic figure nationally in this war back, and he's the one who started it.
All of it.
Hey, Jimbo called him a clown. Yeah, only after he called Jimbo a cheater. And yet,
and he is a clown. Let's be honest. Like, he deserves it. He's the guy that went to a college bar as the offensive coordinator at Alabama and tried to pretend like he was Joey Freshwater. Wasn't that the name he used, the alias?
Yeah.
Which is hilarious,
That's
honestly. It's really good. It's one of the all-time greats.
Right.
As if these girls were going to believe it. And the rest is history.
He looks 40.
It's so good. I don't know, man. The guy.
But you know what?
I think I might get a Ole Miss jersey.
I wouldn't.
And I'd put Freshwater as my.
It's pretty good. Well, here's the thing, guys. He has a chance to win 10 games, 2 out of the last 3 years. And they're I don't want to say probably because we'll have to see what happens this weekend. If they beat A&M, they're a 10-win team.
Yeah.
Because they got Mississippi State and they got Georgia. That's not. But they only have 1 loss. So he's successful.
Team. Yeah, he's done well. There's no doubt about it. I'm not denying that.
He doesn't recruit. Or high school guys. Well, he gets in the transfer portal. He's the king of the transfer portal, and he's able to mold those guys to a team. But more than anything, he takes chances that most college coaches won't.
Yeah,
yeah.
Maybe that's why Mike Leach liked him so much. They were pretty good friends. They were kind of like kindred spirits. The difference is Leach was likable.
Yeah,
yeah.
Lane isn't.
Yeah.
But if he's your guy, it'd be like, oh, that's my dude. It's like when Jimbo went after Nick. We all loved it. Most of the country, maybe that first day, most of the country liked it. But afterwards, Jimbo became the bad guy in that. But for us, it was like, yeah, he's got our back. He's our guy.
It is weird how that gets spun. But, I don't know, my favorite Lane Kiffin memory is Nick Saban on the sideline when he was the offensive coordinator, just ripping into him. He's like scolded a little kid.
Yeah.
It was the best. That's my win as an Aggie fan. I'm like, I remember you got put in your place. He's a good coach, though. I mean, no one here is going to deny that.
Is it possible? I mean, it's possible. It's not going to happen, but it is possible that both OCs under Nick Saban, the last couple OCs, end up in the playoffs this year. I don't think Ole Miss is going to get in the playoffs, but I'm just saying, Lane Kiffin and Sark, they both 1 loss. They've got a chance.
Absolutely possible. It's also absolutely possible that neither one will.
Yep.
Are you expecting Texas to not lose again?
I think I picked, which again, I'm the worst game day picker, whatever. Like I'm getting beat by Cessna's dog. What's his dog's name?
I don't know that he's had so many.
I got a text from one of my buddies. He goes, dude, he said, looks like Chester the dog knows more about football than you do. What the F?
But it's been that kind of year in college football, though.
It really has been.
Now, granted, we're picking high school games. I don't know anything about high school games, and I don't follow a lot of these colleges. Like Bethune, what was the one? Bethune-Cookman and Mississippi Valley State. I know you know them all. You're like an encyclopedia.
I couldn't tell you who was going to win between Bethune-Cookman and Mississippi Valley State. I'd take Mississippi Valley State because Jerry Rice won.
That's what I did.
Of course.
Middle docking.
Can we name anybody else who played there?
Yeah, Willie Satellite Totten, the quarterback.
Of course he can.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You asked the wrong guy.
But you can't ask him what he ate for lunch yesterday.
That's true.
This is a hard one. Do you know an NFL player from Bethune-Cookman?
There has been one, but I couldn't tell you who it was. And it was somebody who actually.
Is it McLeod Bethel Johnson?
Actually,
the quarterback?
I was going to say, actually, there's somebody that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
But he wasn't well enough.
Well, I just did a little Google search of this. 32 players have been drafted from Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah. Somebody like Larry Little. Is Larry Little on there? Larry Little, Miami Dolphins Hall of Fame guard. He might be.
He might be. There's a lot of names on here. I'll just read some. Terry Anderson, Rudy Barber, Anthony Bass. Let's see. Nick Collins, Damian Cook. Mark Irvin, not Michael. That's for sure. I don't see that name. No, I don't see it.
Larry Little. Maybe he didn't go to.
Can you name where Bethune-Cookman University is?
Larry Little went to Bethune-Cookman.
Nice.
It's
Pittsburgh.
in Florida.
It's in Florida? I don't know where the heck
I
it
think
is.
it's in Florida somewhere.
All right, we didn't get to buy, sell, lease, so we're going to do buy, sell, lease with Swope in the next segment. Obi, thank you very much, buddy.
Daytona Beach, Florida.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we will have Ryan Swope in studio. We'll have Stephen McGee in studio. After that, we'll have Aaron Torres, and then everybody's favorite fan, the Fan Show. Which one do you like the best? You can vote on the text line. That and more is TexAgs Radio. And we're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Steve McGee is in the house, as is... No, we are on. This is legit radio. They didn't hear what you guys were talking about.
Can you imagine if my wife, if that made it on the air, my wife would kill me.
McGee spilled his coffee in his lap. You hate to see it.
Oh, yeah, everybody
No, it's
knows.
the Starbucks top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're faulty, and I always do I
Gets
go
you every
around
time.
the rim twice to make sure it's on there good, and then they'll lure you into thinking, "Oh, you're good,"
And then boom.
Boom.
And if you're driving, it's a wrap. It's all over it's in the
right on the
mess.
jewels.
Yep.
This morning,
You hate to see it.
and I left my phone at the house. Had to drive all the way back home
Oh,
to
no.
get my cell phone because I can't operate without my cell phone.
Yeah, we live in that world. How
That
quickly
is-
do you guys check your phone when you wake up?
Right when I get up.
Yeah, like immediately,
It's
right?
disturbing.
Yeah.
I can't now. I used to, but I get kids running all over the place. I don't, diapers getting thrown in my face.
Great.
In the
They're
morning?
hungry. Oh yeah,
In
they're
the bed?
hungry. Oh yeah.
Oh.
They throw it at you?
What's your reaction?
Well, so here's the deal. The youngest now, Bennett, he turns 2 in December. He bad habit, but he is now transferred over to queen size bed, and so when he's ready to wake up, he just crawls out of bed, and it'll be 5 o'clock in the morning, and he'll wake up the entire house.
Yep, that's how it is.
He's
That's
a little
how it is.
Ryan.
He's ready to go.
Benny is Ryan Jr. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. I think the
Wow.
twins look more like Melissa,
Yeah.
but that youngest one, there's no denying whose daddy
It's
is.
Swope.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough son of a gun too.
We'll see.
Well, guys, I usually do this earlier, but we're going to do it now. We didn't get to it. A buy-sell lease. All right?
Oh.
Okay, so we're going to do 2 different buy-sell leases. 2 different ones. Here's the first one. Buy-sell lease, the best team in the SEC West. Okay? You got Bama, who's taking on LSU. So there's LSU. And Ole Miss. Those are your 3. You want to read that?
Yeah.
It's a good letter. Buy, sell, lease. You've got Bama, LSU, Ole Miss for the best team in the SEC West.
Ooh, it's a good one.
I'm buying Bama.
Yeah, I'll buy Bama.
They're going to win this weekend. Tuscaloosa, LSU's there.
Yeah, I'm selling
It's gonna be a good
LSU.
I'm right there with you. So who has Ole Miss played? They lost to Bama, right?
Yeah.
And then
They
lost
beat
to
LSU.
They beat LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of already worked itself out.
Yeah. I think Bama's a different football team than they were 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
I think that they've improved a lot.
I totally agree.
I think that their defense is playing some good football as always. But I think
quarterback's
that
gotten better.
that quarterback's really improved.
So now that I know your answer, my next one is anticlimactic, but I'll do it anyway. Buy, sell, lease. Second best team in the SEC West. LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. Because the Ags got a chance to get in the mix again, guys.
I'll say this.
I'll let you answer that one.
Ole Miss obviously deserves to be the number 2 team today. If we want to play this game, A&M, had they had their quarterback healthy, I think we'd be sitting here saying a very different tune right now. I really firmly believe that.
I agree.
But you got to play the cards you're dealt, and we are what we are. And so I think deservedly we aren't the 2 team.
No, we're not. I think that I guess we'll find out this weekend.
So are we selling A&M as the number 2 team, or are we leasing them?
Wow.
How do they even be?
Yeah,
how would they even get? So
you
they'd have to
can't-
beat Ole Miss and LSU, and then they're 2.
So
I'm not going to buy them because I don't think. I mean, I guess if we win out, I guess we could be.
We are 2, right? With 3.
No.
Yeah, well, so think about it.
Bama. No, if Ole Miss wins, they're 2.
Well, LSU's got 2 losses, but 1 in the SEC. If they lose this weekend to Bama, and which you guys think they'll happen, that'll be 2 losses in the SEC. A&M's got 2 losses. If A&M beats Ole Miss, they will have 2 losses in the SEC, and they'll all 3 be tied with 2 losses in the SEC.
So we went out. We're there.
We're there. That's what I'm saying. Like
I'm lumping in the Miami game, which I guess I shouldn't.
Hey, I'll buy that scenario.
So do you think we might win this weekend is what you're telling me?
I really do think we have a shot. I know a lot of people don't.
Oh, we're looking. Yeah, I think
I'm going to turn off.
I do think this is a really talented Ole Miss football team that we're about to play.
Yeah.
I think their defense hasn't been this good in a long time. I think our offense will be tested, and it'll be a good matchup. But
what about our defense? Can we stop their run game?
I'm not worried about our
I think
defense.
we can stop the run game.
I don't have it. Yeah, and I don't think their offense is as good as it's been in the past either. And so,
other than the Tennessee game, our run defense has been phenomenal. And
so we got to protect Max, and I think that'll dictate the game.
Yeah.
If we can't take care of Max, I think that we lose.
I saw a note. Pro Football Focus had it for their college football stats that Max last week had 2.4 seconds, which was pretty good time to throw.
I was going to say, I know we give the offensive line a lot of beef, and at times deservedly so. But there's if you look at a lot of the big plays that happen when they give him time, those pockets are nice.
Yeah.
And he delivers, right? I mean, it's the name of the game. If you keep your quarterback clean, you're going to win a lot of football games at any level, no matter really who your quarterback is. But it's those other 20% of snaps where he's getting his head taken off. That's tough.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think offensively, we got to be creative too, and we got to figure out a way to get number 0 the ball. I mean, whether it's motioning him into the backfield, handing him the football, throwing him a bubble screen, getting him involved in slants, quick outs, reverses, whatever it might be, that dude needs the football if we want to win.
Hey, how much do you love that guy?
I love him, man. He
just
plays
everything about him, right?
Oh, he just plays with so much heart. He loves this game. He loves football. He loves the Aggies. He loves this place. And you can see that he goes out and gives it all he's got every single Saturday.
I think you have 22 Anais Smith starting at every position.
You win.
Your team finds a way to win.
Heck yes.
So this is what worries me about Ole Miss, is the fact that they run the ball in a similar fashion than Tennessee does.
Yeah.
They spread you out. Yeah. And I think their quarterback is better than Tennessee's quarterback.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, for sure.
So
he's
going
to be the number 2 quarterback we play this year? Would you? No, or 3. Would you put him Miami guy?
I think Miami guy.
LSU 1, Miami 2, and then this guy 3?
Yeah, but you could also say Alabama's guy's playing at a pretty high level.
I would never take Alabama's quarterback.
But he played like that against A&M.
You would take him over Ole Miss's guy?
He's a different player, don't you think? You're a quarterback, man. I don't know. Don't ask me that question. You know better than I do.
How well did Jalen Milroe play against A&M? He fed Jermaine Burton a lot.
I thought he played
pretty good. He made some
good.
incredible throws. Yep. And for him, he played really well. He threw for 300 yards, but he missed some guys. And he also turns the football over too much for me.
He's improved, though. You can see
there's
that.
no doubt about it.
He's getting better.
He is a ton better.
Like different quarterback.
I totally agree. I think he's just limited skill set wise, and maybe as a former quarterback, I can't look past his flawed fundamentals. I went on the field that game just to go watch him because I remember I gave him beef and everyone was talking about how great he was. I was like, I got to see this guy throw up close. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's not going to play.
But I also think that offensive line isn't that great at Alabama.
Yeah.
So he's having to deal with that too.
True. But he's a great athlete. I mean, that plays into his skill set.
Yeah, you're right.
So this week, to your point, not giving up contain in the run game against a spread offense like we get in against Tennessee.
Yeah.
That was the one game where you're like, And I think it's more of being gap sound. I think this defense knows, like, hey, I got to have a hat in every lane. We had guys going inside, and they break contain on us, and it's a huge play. You can't do that when you get spread out.
And let me remind you, they rushed for 390 at Kyle Field. 390 yards on this team last year. Same defense, but different defense.
The element that gets added that makes it even more difficult, though, is the quarterback in the run game because he's unaccounted for. And when he's a willing runner, much less not just in a designed run play, but in a called pass. When you're in man coverage especially and everyone's gone and the quarterback takes off, that's a nightmare. So the onus is really on this defensive line. If you're going to win this football game, you've got to make Jackson Dart's life miserable. You've got to contain him in the pocket and then be around his feet every time he throws the football, even if you're not getting a clean hit on him. That, to me, is going to be the game breaker. I think it's a game breaker every week because I think we're still suspect on the back end.
So here's another thing to consider in this game. A&M leads the SEC in sacks with 33. Number 2, Ole Miss with 30. So they get after the quarterback too. And you know the offensive line has had their issues, and Max holds onto the ball a little bit too long. Those are the two areas that I'm concerned with when you talk about how you beat Ole Miss. You got to bottle up the run, and I think Jackson Dart's the key to that. You got to stop him from running because I think Quinshon Judkins and Ulysses Bentley are going to get theirs. And then you have the fact that they get after the quarterback.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If I'm
what
Ole
are you
Miss,
doing? What are you
well,
going to do?
If I'm Ole Miss, I'm bringing the house. I'm making it very confusing for our offensive line, for our quarterback, for our receivers, and so I think they're going to bring a lot of pressure. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you right now, our receivers, man coverage, you got to win. I mean, that's Coach Beatty used to say you pray for man coverage every night. You go to bed, you pray for man coverage because it's mano y mano, and all you got to do is beat that guy in front of you. And so I think I'm starting to see better. I'm not seeing elite separation. Would you agree? But I'm seeing some separation.
Totally agree.
How nice would it be to have a real run game, though? Because they'll have 2 or 3 nice runs, but they haven't established
It's not consistent.
Nope.
You don't feel that LSU last year game when we just pounded the football.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had that element of like, we're going to run it, and you can't do anything about it.
Le'Veon Moss has been the closest to that.
He runs hard. I like him.
Watching him run the ball.
But it's hard as a play caller to line up and run it 3 times in a row when you're first and second down, you're getting stuffed. And you're in 3rd and 10. I mean, it's hard to stay committed to the run game. Like I get it. And then you're caught, throwing early passes, and everyone's questioning that. It's hard right now. I mean, I don't hear that the wrong way, but I think you've got to get off to a good start, offensively and defensively. And they're going to have double move plays. They're going to pump a screen pass. They're going to run a dig and go. And if you give up an 80-yard touchdown pass early on the road, those are hard things to overcome because momentum is a funny thing, especially in college sports. And getting off to a good start, not just offensively, but defensively. And to me, that's on the offensive and defensive lines. And then play calling offensively, getting the ball at the quarterback's hands.
Yeah, quick throws. And honestly, man, how nice was it to see there before the half a sense of urgency to try to get in the end zone.
Call some timeouts.
Some tempo, manage the clock well, and look what happened. We go score.
But what happened after in the second half?
Because
they did move the ball.
Oh, we moved well. It comes down to basically what something we struggled with all year and all last year is just being more efficient in the red zone. And we kick a lot of field goals. We're good at that. But we just got to be better down there in the red zone. And
is it as simple as they don't run the ball well enough? And because that does open everything up when you're in that area.
Oh, it makes life so much easier, both on not just the back end, but on when you run a play pass and that defensive line is really worried about your run game, it slows up their pass rush. They can't just tee off upfield and get after the quarterback. They're sitting there trying to play their gap for the run game. They see that hard play pass. You saw that in the early years in this offense with, what's the tight end's name that went to the Green Bay Packers? Remember how many big pass plays he had, just gashes, where we would just kind of hard run fake, and then the whole defense was at the line of scrimmage, but you had no pass rush around the quarterback. Whew, easy completion. But if they don't respect that, and those defensive ends are just coming straight up field, it makes life tough on everybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to put the ball in the end zone when you're down there.
Kate in the back reminds us that, they gave up those 3 sacks on the second drive of the game against South Carolina, but no sacks after that. How much of that was Max getting rid of the ball quicker? How much of that was the offensive line, you guys think? Hard to notice in the moment.
Yeah, it is. I thought our offensive line did better. I also think I like that they brought in some tight ends to help in some of the pass protection. But overall, I think Max needs to get rid of the football. I think he's just like half a millisecond behind.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Like but he's almost there, and I think he's going through his reads properly. He's just not trusting it, I think, right?
Even when guys around you are wrong. And so I think sometimes sacks are because wide receivers aren't getting open quick enough in man coverage. Or sometimes it's the play caller having a concept that develops way downfield and it's just taking time. But as a quarterback, the great thing is you are the equalizer. You make other people right when they're wrong, which means, to Swope's point, you don't take sacks. Yeah. You learn to get rid of the football, even when the guy does make. So it may not be your fault, but it ultimately is, because the quarterback is the decision maker. He touches the ball every play, and you've got to be sound.
I got a question. I've been watching. Do they do you do the film review? Do we have a guy that's hot every time when there's blitz? Because I saw one, Evan Stewart. I think it was a corner that was coming on a blitz. And I think he even pointed at him.
Yeah.
And did you know what play him? He just ran a 10-yard hook route?
Yeah. I don't think that
we run a football player and go, this dude's blitzing, that guy's 15 yards down the field.
Did y'all run hots with someone?
We did.
You did?
Yeah, it was built in hot. Yeah. If anybody inside of you, like in the inside shade, for me, like a slot, you get a guy going, you were basically on a slant route.
Yeah.
Like a soft slant route. Like or
So
3 steps, turn around and get the ball.
Was it built on protection though? Like, so let's say you had max protection and you knew that you were going to basically pick up everything. You would not run a hot route, right? Or you would?
If it was 0, it just depends. It kind of depended what concept. But there was always a built-in hot guy.
Yeah.
So if I had like a corner route and it was 0 coverage and I was in the inside, well, I know to be a football player and shave that corner route down to 4 or 5 yards and take it high and let the quarterback flatten me. Or you throw for the deep shot.
I love it.
You just win.
I don't think of this. I don't know. I'm not in those meeting rooms, but I don't think we run hot routes.
I don't
so
think
to your
we
point,
do
like
either.
when we were in Dallas, we'd say, okay, well, if it's a free safety blitz, we run a slant. We were playing some football. If it's a corner blitz, like that one, we run a sleepy route, which is like you widen and get away from the safety who's going to be going. And so but the great adjuster was Jason Witten. He knew every protection. So if you're, we have in one game 32 different pass pros. Well, every different pass protection has a different hot. And so you've got a limit for guys like Des Bryant who weren't mentally able to know. You'd basically have to point to him or just say, just do your thing, like just run. We let Jason Witten handle all the hots.
I just saw Des Bryant on a show. He's on the.
Why do you like?
Because it just surprised me. I thought he was going to.
You understood my comment?
Well, not only that, I saw him. There's a
incredible player.
It's a show like where they try to train you to be a Navy SEAL or whatever, like, and they have some weirdos on it. JoJo Siwa, whatever her name is. Like they have what's her name from? She's in all those movies, not Clueless, but those kind of movies. She looks horrendous, but Des is in it. Like she doesn't look like the person she used to be. Des is in it, and he looks like he's gonna dominate. And then they have him do all night. Have to do this whatever running with a rucksack. And he starts throwing up afterwards. Like, and everybody else is going into their quarters to sleep, and he's like throwing up, and they're checking on Des. I'm like, this guy played in the NFL, and he's struggling.
He is a beast, though.
That dude was
he's still jacked.
Great dude.
Oh man, talented player.
I miss old Des. I got one pair of Jordans.
One pair, okay.
Zane like hearing this, and they're from Des Bryant.
Oh yeah,
no way.
Yeah, he hooked me up one year. He got all of his guys. During
so
Christmas,
good.
like all the super famous guys would like Romo would buy the offensive line like computers or bags or something. Well, you're a third string quarterback, you don't get anything. No one's giving
you.
You
got some J's from Des Bryant.
But one day I was like, hey man, like, what do you say? Like, get your quarterback some
Get this
and he hooked you up.
J's.
Yeah, get the backup to the backup to your quarterback some J's, and he did. Like the patent leather black ones.
Yeah.
Concords.
He seems like a very likable guy.
So likable, super nice guy.
So, king of hyperbole.
Where
here.
did we?
I don't know what we're talking about.
This is what makes it great. How important? Look, this is hyperbole.
Back to Ole Miss.
How important is this game in the grand scheme of things, considering they haven't won on the road? People are starting to decommit. Like, you can change so much going on the road and having a win with an offense, by the way. You got to have some kind of offense. How big is this game in your eyes for so many reasons?
I mean, I think every game's big, especially when you play in this conference. And to sit here and think that it's college football. Anything can happen. And so just focus on your opponent. And if we can get a win on the road, I think it'll create some momentum, something that we've been lacking here. And so if we can go get a W against a really talented football team like Ole Miss,
changes everything, guys.
It changes everything. Now, things have to happen and go our way. I mean, we don't control our own destiny, unfortunately. But if we can beat Ole Miss, it's definitely a
optics
positive.
look completely different, don't they? I mean, it's a huge opportunity. It's a huge game. I think we all know that and understand that. It's a good football team. You're going to have to play your best game of the year in order to come out victorious. But we all know, we've been saying this all year long, that if we do that, we're going to win. I mean, that's the reality of it. I don't care what the record says. I don't care what's happened in the past. We have the Jimmies and the Joes to get the job done. We got to go out there and use this term and do this thing called execute, which I know Aggie fans don't love hearing, but it is true.
Nick, if you can, put the schedule up. I just want to show you something here, guys, because if A&M does win against Ole Miss, all right, that means that you will have beaten, there we go, South Carolina. You have the bye week, South Carolina, Ole Miss. We all feel pretty confident about Mississippi State, at least at the moment. I feel like at home, that's a game A&M should win. And ACU, all right? So we're talking about a 4-game win streak heading into LSU. Obviously, you got to play the games, right? There's nothing, this team especially, there's nothing you can take for granted. But you talk about the optics. That means you're going into to LSU at 8-3 with a chance to win your 9th game on the road. And now you've won on the road, broken that streak. The whole thing feels so, like, when you talk about there it is.
And I will say this, if that's the case, the optics change too, and you start looking back at Tennessee and Alabama, and you start saying, well, man, we were really the better football team that day, and we just had this happen, or like we had a bad break. And I ultimately believe that great football teams create their own good fortunes. They get their good bounces by playing good football for 4 quarters. But we were the better football team against Alabama. We were the better football team against Tennessee. And against Miami.
God, that's crazy. We scored 33 points.
Yeah.
And lost.
Yeah, against Miami.
With this defense.
That's crazy.
The Miami one's hard for me because they did play well. That quarterback was hot that day, and I think that we played. I think we play today, and we have Connor healthy. We blow them out. I really do believe that. If it's a neutral site, but
for sure.
I mean, I think we beat Alabama if Connor's there, and that's not a shot at Max. I just think the offense is better.
I agree. I'm not taking a shot at Max either. I love Max. I love the way he plays. He's a competitor. I don't want to boo-boo on him at all, but I think Connor is, and I've said this a long time, I think he's one of the best that we've ever had do it here at this university. He's a difference maker, and his strengths fit perfectly with the current offensive situation with the offense line.
I haven't asked you, and Steven can jump in, but I know he already spoke about it. How personal should this game be against Ole Miss, considering all the press conferences from Lane, the pictures, the trolling? Yeah.
Look, I'm not a Kiffin fan necessarily. But he ain't wrong.
No, he ain't wrong.
Everything he said is.
But the picture, Quinshon Judkins take a picture on the logo. Calling Bryce Anderson the B word.
It's immature. I mean, I don't think your great football coaches ever take that route. Now it's a different day and age that we live in. I do think that there's some tactical recruiting tactics going on there. Mm-hmm. That he uses his social pages to put in front of recruits and make some valid points.
Yep.
And they're actually some of the stuff that he said. I mean, he ain't wrong about it. And so, if anything, it should light a fire under our team's ass, and we go out and show them what Texas A&M football is all about.
I love it.
So, use it as fuel.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
It.
Hopefully next week we can have a road victory to talk about.
Let's do it.
Right now we're talking about Brazos Running Company, located there in Century Square. They are local, Aggie-owned and operated specialty running store with an outstanding selection of running gear. You've got all the best brands out there, from Brooks to On to Hoka. If you're a runner, walker, or interested in any fitness at all, the right shoe makes all the difference in the world, which is why I'm telling you to go check out the Brazos Running Company. Passionate about running, passionate about fitness, and passionate about finding the right shoe that fits you and your needs out there. They got great brands as well beyond the ones I mentioned. They got Birkenstock. They got Vuori Clothing, one of the hottest athletic brands out there. It's never too early to start checking off that holiday shopping, especially now that we're at November. Check out Brazos Running Company, located in the Century Square below Star Cinema Grill in College Station. It is Brazos Running Company. Interestingly, I feel like people are like, yeah, they can win, but will they win? I don't know. I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting from the text line, from the chat.
You can count me in on that boat as well.
So you're yeah, they can win, but like I don't know.
Sure, yeah,
yeah.
You would agree? I think that they've shown plenty that if they put it all together and do it for 4 quarters, heck yeah, they can win. But
if is the word.
It hasn't been done yet. That's the caveat there.
Yeah, I think we're all like, there's a part of us all waiting for it. Like eventually, it's got to click, right? You got that much talent, it's got to click. And then there's the other side of the foot, but they haven't shown it to me yet. Let's talk about reasons they can win, because sometimes, well, by the way, they just won a game by double digits. I know South Carolina, I get it. But for a moment, let's talk about the reasons they can win this game. That defense is nasty, right? Now, there's a counter to that. Well, but when they played Tennessee ran all over them. Okay, but other than that.
But still, they only gave up what? The defense only gave up
a touchdown.
A touchdown, yeah. So, sure, they ran all over them, but if they get the points on the scoreboard from that offense, then they run away with it. But I think the defense, you're right, defensive line is nasty. You can count on them for a couple, if not 4 to 5 sacks a game.
So there's the defense is nasty. They get after every quarterback. And like we've gotten to a point where 4 sacks is considered, let's just, they only got 4 sacks. Think about that for a second. For a team that didn't have many sacks last year, a 4-sack game, like, yeah, but they only got him 4 times.
That was a big talking point in the offseason is, they need to figure out how to sack the quarterback more. And boy, have they done that.
So you got that talking point. All right. They got freaking Aniyah Smith. Like, just remember who they have. Aniyah Smith. If Aniyah and Evan can have a big game on the same day, I mean, he look up outside. Like, for reals. Right? Like, not that is the word if keeps popping in. So let me ask you this. Evan Stewart having a big game against anybody. It's likely that it can happen. I don't know if likely is the right word. It's more than possible. It should happen, correct?
Yeah. Just got to get him the ball.
Okay.
Got to get them the ball.
Okay.
However you can.
It looks like Le'Veon Moss should be good to go this weekend. Should the running game be better?
You'd hope so.
Okay. Do you take any solace in the fact that Max was not sacked after that second drive?
I mean, yeah, I guess you got a little positive momentum going into this game if you're the Aggie offensive line. So, yeah, that's good. But, again, that's just something that we need to see them put 4 quarters together. Haven't seen it yet, so would like to see it. Then I will start to buy in and say, yeah, okay, well, Max will have time and be able to find his guys.
Outside of Miami, they have been in the lead in every game. Now, that might infuriate you.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's wild.
Right? But think about it. They've had the lead in every game outside of Miami. And Miami, they should have had the lead. Just dumb. And you could say it's been dumb for a couple years now. But they should have had the lead in Miami. They've had the lead against everybody. Would you believe they will have the lead against Ole Miss? If I told you today, they're going to have a 7 to 10 point lead against Ole Miss at the half. Do you think they can finish it off? They haven't done it yet.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe they have the pieces to do it. That's the thing, though, is like OB has said earlier in the week that he said it all season, but 11 o'clock games benefit the road team, right? So A&M has that going for them. If they can start fast, which they have done, and you just heard McGee mention that as well. Got to start the game fast on both offense and defense. Go score on your first possession. Get a stop on your first defensive possession. I think that will go a long way. But like you just said, can they finish in the second half?
Here's the thing, Nick. And by the way, if you guys want to talk about this, we'll do it after AT. If you want to call in on the hotline, you can certainly do that on the Brian Foley hotline. Brian Foley Law hotline, I should say. 979-693-1150. We'll talk to AT, and then we'll take some calls and some text messages. But what is it going to take to win? The bottom line is, when I talk about what this potential win, and we've said it different times throughout the season, what this win could mean, what it could. But where you are right now, 8-4 is not going to feel good if they go 8-4 this year. It's going to feel better than 7-5 and 6-6, and of course, it's going to feel better than that. But does it really feel like real progress? But you win this game, it just changes it all. You go almost a whole month or more than a month without a loss.
Yeah, you're going to be 8-3 going
win
into
streak.
Baton Rouge. I would imagine that's a ranked A&M team going in there, right? I mean, somewhere in the rankings. I know that doesn't matter too much, but still, it raises the level of, I guess, the national perception for A&M, and that becomes a really, really big game in Death Valley, and you win that one. You got it sitting right here, right now, talking about the chance to win 10 games.
Yeah,
is wild.
But the reason we don't want to go there, and I get it, but remember, 15 hours to talk about different angles, guys, right? I understand why you don't want to hear that. I get it. Like, come on, they haven't won on the road in 2 years. Why do I make everybody sound like Rocky? But the fact of the matter is, the reason we don't think that scenario is likely is because what we've seen for 2+ years. The reason it is possible is because this is the position they're in. You had a chance to beat Tennessee. You had a chance to beat Alabama. Ole Miss is not the team that Alabama is. Do I think they're as good as Tennessee? Well, they're ranked higher than Tennessee. I think they do have a better quarterback than Tennessee. But I still don't know who I would take in that matchup. And if we've seen this team defensively make adjustments throughout the year, teams are not torching them over the top anymore. Now, teams haven't had to, right? But Jermaine Burton did eat you alive. I take that back. But beyond that, like, we all thought, well, Spencer Rattler may just destroy them deep. He didn't. And it's not like they did live in his kitchen, but it's not like this dude got sacked 8 or 9 times like we've seen this defense do. So there's a lot of different things at play. If you were to ask me today, do I think they win? I don't think that they do. Do I think they can win? Yes. Can I change my mind by tomorrow and Saturday morning? Absolutely. Like, I talk myself in and out of these things all the time. The only reason I'm struggling with it is because what history has shown me. But that poo-poo's got to stop. It's got to change. And if it's going to change, it needs to happen in Oxford this weekend. Let's hit a break. We'll talk to AT when we come back. Right now, we're talking about Heritage Films. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. They make documentary films about your family. They make documentary films about your parents, about your uncle, your boss, your family ranch, your family business. If you haven't, like, why would I want a documentary? Well, if you like Facebook memories popping up, you're like, every time those Facebook memories, man, that was a great time. I remember that, and you guys reminisce. Imagine having the actual movie of those moments, not just a picture that you have to wait for. I got to wait another 2 weeks for something important that I posted on Facebook. How about an actual movie, a 2-hour movie about your family? That's what Chance McClain does with Heritage Films. They're awesome. It tells your family story, and that family story is now going to be important to your grandkids, and because they're going to actually hear it from the people who live that life. That's what Chance does with Heritage Films. He also has the Year Flicks, which can be a benchmark video for your kids, 12 years old, 13 years old, what they're into, their favorite subject at school, their favorite movie, the sport that they're playing, their crew, their buddies, their family vacations. All those things are in play. Freshman year of college, what your major is. Sophomore year, you've changed. You're into this now. Junior year, you found the love of your life. You're engaged. Senior year, you graduate. You got your Aggie ring. Let's talk about it. That's what the Yearflix is. These 20-minute Q&A videos. They're all awesome, and they're for the family. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. Welcome back into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studios. Now time for Around College Football, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. We go to the hotline. We're joined by Aaron Torres of Fox Sports Radio and Aaron Torres Online. AT, what up, buddy?
David Nuño, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Everything good?
Everything's good, man. I saw your tweet yesterday about Bobby Knight and the MJ.
Sure.
There was some really good MJ stuff that Bobby said on a couple different occasions. It was just, we think of him as this hothead, which he was, but he did a lot of cool things too, man. And he was a leader and evaluator of he called Michael Jordan being the best before Michael Jordan was the best.
Well, maybe he was the best, and none of us knew it except for him. But no, listen, I'm so obviously, everybody knows me at this point. I love learning about college sports and even stuff that happened before my time. And luckily, I'm a little bit young to have remembered anything close to peak Bobby Knight. I mean, his last Final Four I think was '93, so I was just a young spring chicken. But I bring it up because I think for anybody really at this point under 40. You kind of only remember the angry guy at the end or the guy on TV that was angry, and that was kind of an interesting little twist to his career, is that even on TV, he couldn't kind of play the part. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I went back, and I didn't go back. I read the book, The Season on the Brink. It was John Feinstein, still an author now, followed him for a year, and I mean, literally got this unprecedented access that, you could never get in 2023. And it's one of the most compelling books that I've ever read. And I think it opened up in my eyes a new light on Bobby Knight. Also I would add, living in LA, got to know Steve Alford a little bit. I don't think he likes me right now, but that's neither here nor there. And basically got to talk to Steve a few times about him and the impact that he had on his life. I know that Coach Alford said yesterday he was serious. He wasn't doing any interviews, but he was texting some quotes and some inspiration, stuff like that. So I just think that because, again, anybody under 40 really only knew him as the grumpy guy. I don't think people realize the tactician that he was, the basketball genius that he was. And I love sharing that clip of him calling Michael Jordan the greatest basketball player I've ever seen before Michael Jordan had ever played a game. I think that speaks to kind of the basketball savant in him.
In this cloud of negativity this season, that doesn't have to be negativity for A&M if they take care of business the next few weeks. Let's focus on a positive. What is A&M in your eyes? How can they and should they beat Ole Miss this weekend?
Well, it's kind of a combination of what they've done, but just tightening up some other things, right? I mean, it's obvious that they really trust that defense. And oh, by the way, who else is impressed by that defense? Lane Kiffin. And I know Kiffin likes to take jabs at Jimbo, but you could tell by his early week comments the respect that he has for the talent on that A&M roster. So one, defense has to show up again. And then two, I just think, again, I don't know how to say this delicately, at a certain point, you do have to open things up a little bit more for Max Johnson. I understand, by the way, the offensive line is not playing great right now. You can't have Max Johnson make it 7-step drops every single time he throws the football, but you just have so much talent on the perimeter, and you can see every time Anaya Smith catches the ball, every time Evan Stewart catches the ball, they just want to make a big play for this team. So figuring out a way to protect Max Johnson getting rid of the ball, make a couple plays to open up the run game, and then just, again, really consistency on offense. Because, and by the way, this is a team I think you could do it against. I think Ole Miss is good defensively. I don't think they're elite by any stretch of the imagination, but it's consistency on offense because the defense has lived up to its end of the bargain. They're playing incredible. Multiple guys that I think you could argue are playing at an All-American level. Now it's time for the offense to kind of step up and do some of their work as well.
Talking to Aaron Torres here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk a little Bama LSU, man, because, look, again, trying to find optimism. I painted this scenario that A&M could be in the mix for that second seed or that second place in the West, because if they take care of business against Ole Miss and LSU falls to Alabama, hello, they're in the mix. They're absolutely in the mix. How do you see Bama LSU playing out?
Listen, I mean, anybody listening to this is a huge college football fan, and it's just, to me, a fascinating contrast in styles. I mean, one thing I'll give credit to, I think both coaches are really leaning into their talent. Like, I was thinking about this today. Notre Dame, Brian Kelly, when he was at Notre Dame, it was so much about the run game and the offensive line, and he never really had that elite quarterback. And listen, part of the reason he went to LSU was because he could frankly recruit a caliber of player that he couldn't at Notre Dame. But, I mean, we're talking about at LSU, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, the number one scoring offense, the number one total offense in all of college football. Like, I think a lot of people know they're putting up numbers. I bet a lot of people don't know they're the number one scoring offense and the number one total offense in all of college football. And then I think Nick Saban has obviously gotten back to his roots by default, because he has to, because he doesn't have an elite quarterback. And we've obviously talked a ton about them over the last couple of weeks with A&M playing host to them a few weeks ago. So I just see a fascinating contrast in styles. The fact that it's a 3-point spread, I know we don't talk a ton of gambling, but that makes, if you're a 3-point favorite at home, it basically means that Vegas thinks that you're about even as teams. And so I think it's going to be a fun one. Again, fascinating contrast in styles. Will Alabama be able to move the ball against the shaky LSU defense? And then from the LSU perspective, are they going to be able to move the ball like they have against this elite Alabama defense? And it is an elite defense.
AT, what's the latest with Connor Stallions? I know you've got some takes on the whole situation.
I love it.
Is there new stuff popping up?
What? I mean, is there new? I feel like there's new stuff every hour. The one thing I will say, I still don't think it's going to happen, and I actually called around on this the other day, but I saw Pete Thamel on a report late last night. I do think there is some internal pressure on the new Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, to step up, because obviously we know how the NCAA investigations work. Even if they came out with a report tomorrow, Michigan would have 90 days to respond. But the Big Ten actually has the authority to step in and basically say, you're not going to play for a conference championship. You're not going to represent us in postseason play. And it sounds like, according to Thamel, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but there was a call where there was a strong push for the Big Ten to step in and act. Now, I don't think that they will, but I guess that's the latest. But as far as Connor Stallions is concerned, let me ask you, because I find this story to be as compelling as anything I can ever remember. Just the depth and the lengths that this guy was going to go to help Michigan football. And I do think, even if you want to say that it's hard to believe that nobody knew, you start seeing pictures of him on the sidelines and sunglasses. Like, it just feels like one of those deals where I think even if you want to argue that other people knew, I do think that he was willing to take it to lengths that nobody else at Michigan would have been comfortable with knowing. So my question for you is, do you find this compelling? Am I a weirdo? I just find it very interesting. But I also find it interesting in that there's no real precedent as far as what punishment can look like from the NCAA, from the Big Ten, et cetera. But am I crazy for thinking that this is a fascinating story?
No, it is a fascinating story. My take on it's a little different because of what I went through as a reporter and a fan of the Astros, right? Like,
sure.
I'm almost scared to have a take, if that makes any sense, because I get it. I understand both sides of it. And not to make this about the Astros, congratulations to the Rangers. I got to make sure I say that. But like, there's a part of me that felt justified because, well, everybody else is doing it, and yeah, they went to greater lengths, but they're all doing it. That's what my mind justifies it at. And there's a part of me that thinks, if Michigan's doing it, what are other people doing? But at the end of the day, they are now the face of it, and they're going to have to deal with it.
Well, and I think the most important thing for Michigan, they need to get back on the football field. It sounds weird because sometimes when there's controversy, like, you just want to be away from a microphone. But I think last week, them not having a game was like the worst thing that happened, because every day it was a new story and there's no way to respond. There's no way to focus. But I think this weekend, this Saturday, getting on the field is really important, because I'll tell you, if it's, 24 to 16, they're playing Purdue at home. For people who don't know, they're a 32-point favorite. If it's 21-13 in the fourth quarter, you know what everybody's going to say? Oh, well, look at what they're doing without sign stealing right now. And so I think they need to get back on the field. And the best thing that they can do is go out and win Saturday 55-0, because I think the part about the Astros is really important, right? I think part of the way that it's died down is obviously this organization has had a ton of continued success post-cheating scandal, as managers have changed, as front office has changed, as players have changed. And so for Michigan, best thing you can do to shut everybody up, go out, beat Purdue 55-0. You got Penn State next week. Go over there and get the win there. But again, you have a game against a bad Purdue team, and it's 24 to whatever. You get the point. You get the point. But I think the Astros point is really important, because if they go out and they look like the Michigan before the bye, they look like the Michigan in the last 2-3 years, then I do think a lot of this does quiet pretty quickly.
AT, appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
No problem. Have a great week. Go Aggies. Thank you, guys.
Gig 'em, bro. There he is, Aaron Torres on the hotline, Brian Foley, Law Hotline. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll do an open segment. I know Leanna's got some stuff for us. We'll get into that. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Great deals on their website that change from month to month. If you purchased a vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet, you know exactly what you're signing up for. If you haven't, I've been telling you for a long time about it. So when you enter that season, when it is time for a new vehicle, you need to call Caldwell Country Chevrolet. And they've got a great selection, which you come to expect when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. But beyond the great selection, it's the customer service, it's the great people, and it's a great deal on your next vehicle. And that deal works in two different ways. They're going to get you a great price on the car that you want, right? Very competitive out there. You'll really enjoy the price point that they have. And then the trade-in value, second to none out there. They are giving folks their dreams, because they're helping you find the car that you want at the right price point, at the right situation for you at the right time. It's about a 15-minute drive, the very edge of Bryan to the very edge of Caldwell. Just a short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. I guess we went long with AT. Only got like 45 seconds left. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Leanna Davidson, what do you have for us?
I have some YouTube chat for now, David.
Okay.
We have Inconvenient Pothole on the YouTube chat says, on Saturday, who is the defensive player that is most integral to A&M winning?
Bryce Anderson.
Bryce Anderson.
And let me give a reason. Well, I mean, there's several. Like, the defense is so good. But part of the reason I say Bryce Anderson is because he's so good at stopping the run. So we'll get into that and more with the Fan Show guys next on TexAgs Radio. I'm going to challenge this group today to be optimistic as much as possible. Like, instead of just, because I've seen the reviews, guys, on the boards. It hasn't been kind to you recently. Okay. I mean, there's a reason.
Would you?
Well, no, you're right.
I wouldn't either.
But I'm the program director of the show, so
yeah, true.
It is my fault. So we're going to try our best, and I think
Good ratings though. It's like it's just like watching a car wreck, you know.
No, it doesn't work like that. No.
Okay.
When the Aggies aren't good, they're not watching as much. But we're going to try here on the, by the way, it's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, The Fan Show presented by Gerard Construction. It is custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since
2002.
That's when you started your Rangers love?
No, that was started in 1979.
Okay. They don't just build homes, they build
relationships.
I was going to say championships. Learn more at gerard-construction.com. That was nice, right?
Well done, sir.
We know how you get paid the big bucks.
Well, I don't get paid. I'm an intern. I'm free. Kelly Adams, Hunter Shurtleff, and Matt Browning in the house. Hello, friends.
Good morning.
Howdy. What's up? So should we get the Ranger talk out of the way?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? You deserve this. You go for it, buddy.
Thank you.
Just like that, we have to hit a break. I'm kidding to the folks at Brian Brock. I'm kidding. Don't go to break. Kelly, what's on your mind?
I mean, I've been saying it every week since, May?
Every single
What's
week.
on my mind? Well, the Rangers are still in first place.
In the world.
And in the world now. And they won the World Series last night. It didn't hit me. My dad's 80 years old, and he's been a fan since 72, and he never missed a game. Everything was scheduled around when the Rangers started. So when he texted me last night, and he's like, I never thought I would see this day. It's a big day for me.
Yeah,
it's a big day for my family.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like every
Because
day,
y'all are diehards. Because I'm not watching 162.
I only watch about 150, but my dad still.
I watch 10.
My dad starts with 162 games, but at 80 years old, he very rarely doesn't make it through the game. Like he falls asleep in his chair, watching the Rangers, 162 days a year, and so. But he stayed awake all last night, and he called me at the end, and it was nice.
I told you, I thought you guys were going to win the World Series the moment the Houston media guy talked about the
You
celebration.
did. I give you credit for that. You called it.
And it has nothing to do with baseball. It's just the way the world works, buddy. So congratulations.
But on the note of being positive, Olin talked about this yesterday. When your team wins, and especially when your team never wins, like the Rangers, it gives you hope that all your other teams, like, there's a chance we can do this. So I'm very optimistic about this weekend. There's a chance we can do this.
I will
Let's
say
go.
that that's like hearing that, because I think the same thing about Aggie football for my father, right? I want him to see a national championship before he's, 84 years is too long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I want him to see one. I mean, dude, there would be some old Ags that would lose it if we ever pulled that off. Can you imagine?
Baseball's there's some curse busters out there. Boston broke through, and then the Cubs, and now the Rangers.
The Astros did it in 17,
Yeah.
and now the Rangers. So good for the Rangers, man. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
I forget which Aggie posted this. They're like, hey, it's great that the Rangers and the Astros have the same amount of World Series now.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I decided
that
not
guy's
to.
been blocked from the show. He'll not be allowed to listen anymore.
That guy.
He's done. Even though I forget who did it. I'm sure I like him. Hunter, what's on your mind?
Well, a couple things. So I'm not down this week. I mean, the Aggies won Saturday, and you looked at some of the comments, and people are like all depressed, and because they didn't win by 40. I'm like, I know it's all
We'd have to
relative,
score 40.
but again, still got the backup quarterback issues in there, and that was a game we absolutely would have lost last year. I mean, no doubt about it. I know it was a bad year, but that was an L.
Yep.
And so, as bad as you played in the first quarter, it was still it got kind of tight there in the fourth, but still, it was a victory and 2 scores. Should have been more. Could have been more. But what's really on my mind is the jackhole Lane Kiffin.
Okay.
So
yes. Now we're getting to my conversation.
I like snarky Twitter people, actually, because it makes me laugh, because I like sarcasm. I like being snarky like that. But he is a professional troll, man. He has trolled Jimbo all week. Like, well, this is the top 10 we should be playing, right? And then, Jimbo's goal is to be bowl eligible is what I heard. So, and then I heard your snippet on from his FCC conference call.
We're the best.
They're the best 5-3 team in America.
I think he said in history, didn't he? Or did he say in America?
So, I mean, I'm going to date myself. I said this before. Kiffin's like, he's a combination of like every, jackass on these movies, especially like 80s movies, There's always that one turd that, you hate on the screen, or going way back to the Beaver, like Eddie Haskell.
Eddie Haskell, yeah.
But I was thinking Percy from the Green Mile. Remember the little punk officer?
Yeah.
Like this punchable face and the way he acts. Shooter McGavin.
Yeah.
Shooter.
Johnny
Kiffin.
Johnny from the Karate Kid.
No,
Yes.
Johnny was the real victim there.
But now we know more.
Yeah,
about
Johnny was the real victim, and Daniel LaRusso was the real bully. But go ahead.
Maybe Kiffin's the real victim because he had to work under Saban or something. I don't know.
I will say,
Bill Lumberg, Office Space. I was just thinking about
Office
him.
Space.
Yeah.
What a great movie.
Anyway, I mean, just characters like that. You got to beat this guy, man.
Well, this is show prep. This is what we pay you guys for.
Yeah,
this is
is
great.
Fantastic. Way to go.
And he just punks Jimbo every year. It'd be nice to win one.
Golly. Yeah, no joke.
Mateo, what's on your mind?
Well, after this weekend, now, I am optimistic. I'm optimistic. Again, I truly am from a standpoint, and you actually said this when you were talking to AT a minute ago. It was more of it's not a thing of, can we win? Of course we could. We can beat them. I mean, we have more talent probably. We've had some issues, but could we rally up and beat them? Sure. If we could score a touchdown in the second half for once this season, that'd be great. But can we beat them? Sure. We've got more talent. Hopefully we've got some momentum after a win. Maybe our offense is moving a little bit better. They looked a little better last week. We're going up against a defense that may not even be as good as South Carolina's. Who knows? But it is. It's the road
30
thing.
sacks.
It's the road thing. The road thing is what gets me. And again, we haven't beat a ranked road team we hadn't beaten a ranked team on the road since 2014. I haven't won a road game in 2 seasons, a true road game in 2 seasons. And so that's the thing that gives me the biggest pause. I would, if this was at Kyle, I would put our chances quite a bit higher, I think. Because the defense looked really good. I mean, they gave up. Did you realize that touchdown they scored was only the second rushing touchdown we've allowed all year?
All year long, yeah.
2 rushing touchdowns all season. Our defense has given up. Did y'all know that? Did y'all realize that?
It was with the first week that the first one happened.
The very first
I
one.
think we talked about. We mentioned it briefly last week, but we didn't really have the stats on it.
New Mexico had 1 rushing touchdown, and everything else has been a passing touchdown except for that little wildcat they ran there in the first half.
You know what makes me feel a little bit better about the road deal? I mean, just going to the Tennessee game, that was a obnoxiously loud environment. I mean, it was loud every play, right? Loud, loud, loud. Never got quiet. And I thought the offense handled it fine.
Yeah.
That was not the problem. I mean, there was we had other issues with the offense that day. So I'm okay with that. At 11 a.m., those dudes will still be popping collars in the Grove at 11:30. They probably want to be in the stadium. So
I will say, if you're going to get a road game, 11 a.m. is the best time to get it. So on the road, I hate 11 a.m. games at Kyle, but on the road is great.
Wasn't the best atmosphere in Kyle last week.
This is the week we're breaking streaks, though. We're beating Ole Miss this week on the road.
Where do we find, and Hunter, I'll start with you, optimism in the offense? What gives you optimism on the road, if you can find some?
Well, my first optimistic point would be if Le'Veon Moss is back this week, because he's a harder runner. I'm not going to criticize others, but you got to run through tackles, right? So that's going to make me feel better. I just still love our receivers. Anais Smith, I remember earlier in the year I said he was a 3 to 5 catch a game guy, and I beg your pardon, Anais. That dude just makes – because I thought other receivers were going to start taking those balls from him. Nope. Dude just makes plays.
Max feels comfortable throwing
our
the ball.
Our playmakers are healthy, and Le'Veon Moss. So that's my optimism this week.
Yeah, same. Offensively, I'd love to say I saw something out of the defense, opening holes, getting the running game going, or the offensive line. But I didn't. We still didn't run the ball well.
Yep.
And that's what you need to do, especially against a team like this, is you don't want them. I mean, we're chunking the ball the whole time. I mean, then you're just leaving so much more time on the clock for their offense, which is better than ours.
Do you think that in the game plan there should be more max run plays too? I mean, either he's keeping on the zone read or just some designated runs.
At first, I didn't because I was scared. We don't want to get our backup hurt. But at this point, I'm kind of like, let's roll with it, man. So
I just feel like the dude, he can scoot.
He can run, yeah.
And so
he's deceptive.
That's hurtful. I mean, remember he had a big run against Arkansas. That can be really painful for a defense.
Yeah, it can beat them.
Kelly, where do you find optimism in the offense?
I think, like Hunter was saying, we do need a little bit more max run, and I think we can see that. I mean, get him out of the pocket. We moved him over a little bit last week. Keep that going. I mean, if we just drop straight back in a line, it's real easy to figure out where he's going to be standing. We got to do something a little bit different, and I think we're going to see some of that. I hope anyway. So,
Matt, do you think the streak ends? The road losing streak ends this season, and why or why not?
If it does in this season,
it starts now.
It's because that our defense is as good as it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's because our defense gave somebody fits. And I will say that if we have an offensive moment like we did now, I know that LSU was at home last year, but if we have an offensive moment like that where we get some offensive explosion and they're all on the same page and the timing is right and the O-line's blocking and the receivers are getting open and the quarterback's hitting his spots, then yes, I think we can, because the defense is good enough to keep us in any game that we're in. We won't be blown out in any of these games. Now that I know. But yeah, if we can, we've got to. I think the defense is good enough to do it, and they've proven that this year. So
you think they will break the streak? TBD.
TBD. I believe the 5th on that one.
What happened to our optimism over here?
Well, I mean, look, you got to say it how you think it, but I asked you the same question, Kelly.
I think we're doing it this week.
You feel
really
confident this week?
I do.
What's your why?
I think the defense again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we need, the offense is kind of a known factor, and the defense is a known factor. We need just a little bit better from special teams. Don't give up a return. Don't miss a field goal. You know, there was punt better. There was some complaints from people I talked to about not covering against South Carolina. Well, we were a missed field goal away from doing that, if I remember right. And again, special teams. Like, offense is known, defense is known. It seems like special teams, sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. They're not as known. And we need them to be good, very good, and we can win on the road. And plus, it's really fun to beat Lake Kiffin. Kiffin.
They haven't.
Yeah, I know. But it'll be really fun when we do.
So complimentary football is your reason. If they can play complimentary football, they win. Hunter?
I mean, if they're going to break the road curse, it's going to be this weekend. I would put certainly a much higher percentage on this Ole Miss game than finishing the year at LSU. But I'm still, if you're going to put a percentage on, I'm going to give them a 40% win chance this weekend, right? And I've seen enough of this offense, a couple years now. It just struggles, right? And so that'll be the hill to overcome. And that's what's a little bit frustrating about Kiffin's teams. I mean, he knows how to move the ball and put points on the board, and they're not that good. This is not that good of an Ole Miss team. I've watched Ole Miss a bunch this year, right? Played Tulane's second-string quarterback, struggled in that game, struggled against Georgia Tech, right?
They're not good, but they're going to at worst finish 9-3.
Right, because he overcomes so many flaws because he's constantly moving the ball and putting points on the board. So, but Alabama shut the running game down, and that was the key to the victory there.
Yeah, and that's what I think is if anything's going to happen, if it's going to happen, it's going to be because we can stop the run. We've only had one real bad rushing day, and that was Tennessee. And
that was without two of our top defensive players for the most part.
Yeah, it held them to 20 points that game, and so yeah, I mean, if we can stop the run and make Jackson Dart beat us in the air, then I think we've got a chance. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'd say 40%. I would say let's put it that way. I say I give our chances 40%, but again, we could easily win this game. We'd easily get beat. I don't know, man.
All right, so let's play this game. All right, we're playing a game here. If they win this game on the road, what does that do for what you think they can do for the final stretch? This game, to me, kind of determines. I said that earlier, too, by the way. There's always this little fork in the road, right? I thought Arkansas could be a fork in the road. They won that game, and then we move on. This fork in the road, a 10-win season is still possible if you win this game. And by 10 wins, that means you have to win all of them and your bowl game. You lose this game, the talk's going to be 7-5. So let me ask, and Hunter, you start us off. What does a win like this mean for the rest of the season? Do you think they can go win in Baton Rouge if they win this one?
Yeah, certainly help some from the team standpoint, what they know they can do. It's still, all your interviews that I'm listening to, they sound pretty positive. They know the plays are there and all that. It'd be a huge deal for these guys to win on the road, come back home for 2 games, and finish it out. Again, LSU's not This isn't 2019 LSU, right? All these teams are beatable. This Ole Miss teams, they're just okay. They're fine. They got a good guy behind the center calling plays. It would be huge for this team, for the fan base, to get a road win against Kiffin. Certainly, your chance of improving your record goes way up. Yeah.
I think we're going to beat Kiffin. I don't know why I'm the only one that thinks
No,
this.
but what does that mean for the rest of the way? Does that make you feel like they? How much more optimism would you have after that with the rest of the stretch left?
At some point, this team has to get over the hump. Either that or we're never going to be anything. Like there's I could see a level of getting better, but we're not there and we haven't arrived, and everybody agrees with that. At some point, you have to break through and get over the hump and take that next step. I see us starting that. You know, we had that chance against Alabama and got really close and didn't. Had that chance against Tennessee and got close and didn't. Are we going to do more of that, or are we going to get over the hump? At some point, we have to get over the hump.
So if you do it this week, you're 6-3. You got a home night game against State.
Should win.
Potentially 7-3.
Beat ACU.
Go ahead and chalk it up. ACU 8-3, rolling into Baton Rouge, and I think that's what David's getting at. I mean,
I
now
think
you're like, well,
I think a win in Oxford leads us to 50-50 or better in LSU. I think momentum and getting over the hump and realizing you can do that is that important.
If we win this game, yes, I think that that's. I mean, it's a mental thing. I mean, it's get past that, win a road game. I mean, don't think they don't know about that over there. It's not like they've been oblivious to the fact that we haven't won a road game in forever and beat a ranked opponent. But if we can go on the road and beat Ole Miss, now I know that environment at 11 a.m. isn't going to be like it'll be. I'm sure we're going to get a night game at Death Valley or whatever. But still,
yeah, we are.
I agree with you. I mean, this LSU team the LSU team is not a juggernaut. It's really not.
That offense is.
Absolutely. It is.
The offense is.
And that quarterback is good, but it's the same offense that we played last year.
The folks I've talked to said the defense is better. Now, they haven't taken – we're about to find out. Mm-hmm. Not that Alabama is this juggernaut of offense either, but we're about to find out if the defense is better.
Yeah, but again, it's still not it's a beatable team. I'm not saying we're going to beat them. I'm just saying that it is a beatable team. This isn't – we're not playing, 2019 LSU or Georgia or somebody like that. We're playing a middle of the road LSU team that we've never beaten at home, or at least we haven't since we've been in the SEC. So, can we go there and win? Sure, but even if you win this game and lose the next two, though, at least we got that monkey off our back.
God, if we lose the next two after that means you lose to Abilene Christian.
Oh my God!
I mean,
if we
don't depress me.
I mean the next two road games is what
Gotcha.
I'm meaning. So yeah, I'm kind of chopping the middle two up as W's already.
All right, let's hit a break here. I want you guys to mark your calendars for November 14th, 2023, so you can make a lasting impact through supporting academics and traditions there with Pass It Back Day, thanks to our friends there at the Association of Former Students. To celebrate that everything is meant to be an Aggie and show the power of the Aggie network that you can accomplish in one day, the association needs your help to reach their goal of 2,800 donors. Know that your support will continue in the oldest, most inspiring tradition of Aggies helping other Aggies out there. Your gift will help support programs, provide resources, and cultivate experiences for that Aggie network. You'll make an impact on the Corps of Cadets, the Texas Aggie Band, the Aggie Muster, local A&M clubs, student organizations, and much, much more. You'll also help provide scholarships and students' assistance funds to A&M students. Please consider making a gift on that day, November the 14th, by visiting tx.ag/give or calling 979-845-7514. If you have already given to the association this year, you can still participate. Consider making a second gift or a give on someone's behalf, or encourage others that have not given before. It is the Association of Former Students, November 14th, Pass It Back Day, thanks to the Association of Former Students. I have no idea what you just said, but it's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Fan Show, presented by Gerard Construction. I bet Kelly didn't know that. Gentlemen, how are we feeling about the pass rush versus Ole Miss? Jackson Dart has been sacked 19 times on the year, just for a number for you to think about. How do we feel about it?
How many sacks do we have?
We have 33 as a team.
And that's the most in all of college football?
Yep. And you know
really
who's second in the SEC?
Ole Miss.
With 30.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that one.
Mm-hmm.
I knew they had 30. I didn't realize it was second.
I knew that because he said it just a little while ago off air.
See if I still have the numbers right here.
But
yeah,
I
A&M
just like
with 33, Ole Miss 30, and Bama with 29.
Where's Tennessee? Because they
29 as well.
They lit us up like a Christmas tree.
I just wanted to hear him say it again because it's fun to hear. But how do I feel? I feel like I feel good with our pass rush versus anybody. Versus anybody. Any O-line, good, bad. I think that we're going to get pressure on the quarterback. We saw what happened when we didn't, and that was Miami. That was the only time we didn't, and they lit it up.
Yep.
Every other game so far this year, nobody scored 30 points on us. Not one team has scored 30 points on us. And that's crazy to think about. We're still 5-3. Golly. But, yeah, our defense has been outstanding outside of that Miami game.
Yeah.
They've been really good.
Rattler can be elusive. He's good with his feet in the pocket, and he had all kinds of trouble back there. Dart, same way, right? The guys, he can move.
He moved on him last year.
Yeah.
He's going to have one where he takes off. Like, Dart has a tendency in games I've seen where, he gets sacked and he gets away and he gets 2 yards and he gets 2 yards and he barely avoids a sack and then he gets 40.
Yeah.
Like, he just has that one long run where
I
he gets
guess I
away from
feel, our defense good. Our sack protection, if they're giving up, if they got 30 already.
I'm going to read you some numbers from last year's game. You've heard me mention that they ran for 390, and this is a different defense. This is the same defense, but a different defense from last year. They ran for 390. Quinshon Judkins last year, 205 yards. Okay, dominated.
Pretty good day.
The second best runner on the team that day was?
Jackson Dart.
1795 yards.
Yeah, so my thought is...
And that was a, 31-24 game or something?
31-28.
Yeah. So my thought on this one is, if you can do to them what we did to Bama, right? We didn't let Jalen Milroe run. He didn't run at all. That's what
you didn't let Milton
for.
run. You didn't let Rattler run.
Didn't let any of them run, and then we held their backs in check. Again, the only team that's ran on us is Tennessee, and we still held them to only 20 points. They only scored one offensive touchdown that game. So if you can shut down the run, which I think we can, I think we can stop the run and make Dart beat us with his arm. I'm not saying he can't. Milroe did it, but I'm just saying that I think that gives you a better chance of putting, hopefully he won't have receivers running wide open all over the place.
That's how certainly Tennessee beat us, right? They got big on the run game.
How many sacks did we have against Tennessee?
I believe we had 4.
Tennessee didn't. No, Tennessee didn't beat us because they ran the ball. They beat us because we couldn't score. We held them to 20 points, and 7 of those came on a terrible punt return on our part. And so, no, that's not why we lost that game. We lost that game because our offense couldn't score. You hold Tennessee to 20 points, you should win. So I'm saying the same thing. If we can hold Ole Miss to somewhere in that same range, we should win. We should be able to score 30 points against Ole Miss.
So here are the numbers in the Tennessee game. A&M got 3 sacks in that game.
Should is the key word.
3
sacks. Jalen Wright rushed for 136 yards. Jabari Small for 42, Joe Milton for 34, Dylan Sampson for 25, for a grand total of 232 yards.
How many pass attempts did they have?
22. And Joe Milton missed a bunch. He was 11 of 22.
And they had some bad drops that should have scored.
They had some drops, and he overthrew some.
Admittedly, the reason I asked the question is Ole Miss I'm presuming, is going to try to run the ball a large amount of times, similar to what Tennessee did. 3 sacks probably wasn't that bad, all things considered, if I remember right. They were doing some short stuff. They didn't have a whole lot of pass attempts. 3's not that bad. I don't know if 3 gets it done this week. We may need 4 or 5. But we put good pressure on Tennessee. Ole Miss, I presume, is going to have a similar game plan, and we got to go out and execute it.
We did pressure him. I remember he was rolling. He was trying to run out of the pocket, and he would throw it away right before he got tackled. So we pressured him the whole game. I think we can do that again in this game. We can stop the run and make them beat us with the pass, just like Alabama did. I know we lost at Alabama, but again, I think that's the. I mean, again, Alabama only scored 26.
Yep.
Score 30, we win this game. I think it's that simple.
But can they score 30?
That is the gigantic question mark.
If we get something to help the offense, we can. Special teams touchdown, defensive touchdown, turnovers for short fields. Like, can the offense put up 500 yards of offense and 30 points? Probably not. But can they put up 300 yards of offense and 30 points because they're getting short fields or because the defense did something or the special teams helped them out in a way? Yeah, they could do that.
By the way, this year, Jalen Milroe has been sacked 30 times. I mentioned Jackson Dart, only 19. So just to give you a little different perspective of how and what Bama did very well in the second half was like, all right, we're just going to throw the ball as much as we can to Jermaine Burton, who's going to beat us. I don't think Ole Miss has got that level of receiver on their roster.
If I remember right, Bama had more time in the second half. I don't know what they did.
They did
how
have
they
more
changed
time.
it. But we didn't get the same pressure in the second half that we did in the first half against those guys.
Looks like you have a thought.
No, yeah. Again, this isn't as good of an Ole Miss offense as we've seen in the past, right?
Yeah.
But I like Jackson Dart. Yeah, I like the running back room. They can move the ball. Yeah,
Kevin knows offense. He might be a troll, but he does know offense.
He is a fantastic play caller. Fantastic. I can't stand that guy. He really annoys the tar out of me. But I'm going to give him credit. He can call some plays.
Calling a good one, throwing the visor, chunking the clipboard.
Hey, I'd love for him to be our OC.
Yes.
He's not a yes man, so he'd get in there and I feel like he would. I would love for him to be our OC.
All right, before we hit a break, what do you expect to see this weekend? Let's go around the room. Who wants to go first? Because I want to know not what do you want to see. What do you expect to see this weekend?
I expect to see a tight game. I expect to see us score around 30.
Okay.
28, 30, 32. We're not going to 40. And I expect us to win.
Okay. Hunter?
As opposed to last week, we're going back to I expect to see success early on offense, right? Going back to we're going to score in our first drive and probably our second drive too, and get a lead, and then it's going to be, can we sustain that? Can we do something in the second half? But I expect to see an early lead.
Do you expect to see a win? Not sure yet.
40% of me expects to see a win.
100% of the time, 40% win.
Are you the weatherman now? Is that what it is? 40%.
All right. So, what do I expect to see? Again, like we said, I think that this team is very capable, talent-wise, everything else, of going out and winning this game. Talent-wise, they're capable of dominating this game. I do believe that.
Okay.
But history. You're going against history. You're talking about a long streak. You're talking about 9 years. This is 9 seasons since we've won a game on the road against a ranked opponent. And now it is an 11 a.m. game at a high school stadium. And so, but they get up. Kiffin gets up for this game. He hates Jimbo for some reason. And so, what do I expect to see? I expect to. God, I don't expect a win here. No.
Okay.
I hope for one, and I believe one's incredibly possible. But I can't expect to win when we haven't done it in almost a decade.
All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. We're going to come back with some of the other games going on in college football, get your thoughts on those games. Plus, we'll kind of get into some other predictions for stats and whatnot. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, and this is the Fan Show presented by Girard Construction. Caller number 1 right now, we're going to give you a free car wash from Aggie Land Express. Car wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership, but we'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggie Land Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Fan Show presented by Gerard Construction. I get this all the time, guys. Like I had somebody tweet at me, like, I'm not listening to the show anymore. You're too negative. I've had people tell me I'm too positive.
Yeah.
I don't know which one I am.
And really, it's on the same comment.
Yeah, same guy. I'm kidding. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. A couple different comments coming in for our Fan Show panel.
Yeah, so
Leanna.
Edward in Austin says, wow, Kelly wrote this off as a loss 2 weeks ago, if I recall correctly.
Hey, that's okay. The Rangers won for
Come
the
on,
first
Kelly.
time since 1961. The Aggies are breaking streaks. This is the week that streaks are broken.
But
pardon me for having a new leaf now that my Rangers are winning.
Why do people get mad at opinions changing? Like more information or different levels of optimism.
Or we
like,
could go with, I was so encouraged by what I saw last Saturday at Kyle Field that this week I feel like we're going to win.
Hey, I thought Penn State was going to be one of the playoff teams. I don't anymore. History's played out a certain way. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Or I evaluate things. Oh, you know what? That offensive line is getting better.
I
Now
thought
think
somebody
we can
else
win.
was going to win the West this year in the SEC.
Who'd you think?
It didn't matter. It wasn't going to be Bama, but it's probably still going to be Bama.
Yeah.
Leanna, what else did you have for us?
We have Roger and Rose Hill also saying, what comes to mind here? 2%ers.
Ooh.
Guys.
2%ers because I have a different outlook on a football game than you. You can 2% my butt for 31 years as a season ticket holder and going to all those football games and road games.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Hey, 2%ers, we've lost 100% of the games we played on the road since 2014. So ranked road game. Sorry. Ranked
Streaks are ending, guys.
Hey, and I was at the 2014 road game at Auburn where we won it. So
Oh, yeah.
Kyle Allen?
2%er right here. Yeah.
So here's the app. I don't think everybody fans their own way, right? This is the fan show. Y'all fan, like there's certain games in my sports, and I'm not saying Aggie stuff. I'm just saying there's certain games that I don't want to watch because I feel like I disrupt the energy that's going on. It's weird. I fan a certain way. Like during the Astros playoffs, there was a few games that I just didn't want to watch because I felt like it just put me in a bad mood. There's other sports I have to watch every second of Aggie football. Like we all fan different ways. It's just different.
Yeah, there's a guy that I won't say his name that I deal with on a fairly regular basis.
Pablo.
And he wears his Aggie ring on his left hand. He's never missed a muster, goes to all the silver taps, does everything. I mean, he is as red ass Aggie as you can possibly get.
Good for him.
He is the most negative Aggie football fan I've ever met in my entire life. I mean, so that dude is not a 2%er, but he can call a spade and see that this team has underperformed for the last 6 seasons and hasn't won a road game in 2 years and a ranked road game in almost a decade. So yeah, you're not a 2%er by being a realist.
But we all get hurt. You were just talking about you feel the pain after a loss.
Absolutely. I was just telling them off air that it's easier to go to the game because if we lose, you walk out and everybody's kind of, misery loves company and you're with all your friends.
Yep.
But if I'm at home watching it by myself, I sit and sulk and angry and mad and all that. And then, and then we have to get on the radio and explain this. And I mean, what do you want us to just sunshine pump the entire time? A team that that's 5-3? No.
And I think there's different ways to fan this kind of conversation too, right? Like none of us are being mean. Nobody's being mean, right? In fact, I think we're nice about our issues, right? Like the offensive line has an issue. Is that not a fact? I also pointed out the offensive line really, for the most part, according to the stats, gave Max Johnson enough time last week.
They did look better.
So
they need some more better
drives,
right?
Yeah.
It is a fact. This team has not scored a touchdown in the second half in a long time. That is a fact.
Arkansas.
I'm not making that up, right?
Yeah, we haven't scored a touchdown we haven't scored a touchdown in the second half since Auburn.
Auburn, they had a better second half than they had the
4
first
straight
half.
games we haven't scored a touchdown in the second half.
It is also a fact that they have given up some type of special teams or non-offensive touchdown or non-offensive score in forever, right? So these are all the reasons we have issues seeing a victory on the road at Ole Miss. That all being said, I do expect it to eventually work out. And that's fandom, right? Mm-hmm. I do expect it. But I also think, why not now? Why not?
Yeah.
Every game they've had the lead at the half, guys, but Miami, that says something to me. Every game comes down to a possession. Unfortunately, the last couple of years, all those possessions have gone the wrong way at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time.
We hope now's the time.
We hope.
I'm calling it.
Okay.
Maybe it's my Rangers positivity. I don't know.
That's right. And
I'll take it.
What you're
But
saying
I'm-
earlier, that's what we need. We need the Chris Russell pick six, like an Arkansas game. We need the Anias punt return for a touchdown, or maybe Ruben gets loose on a kickoff return. Or Damani he seems like Mr. Magic when you want some points on the defensive side. So, but something like that.
That's what it's going to take.
that's
To
huge.
get over the hump, you have to have something different, something special, something that you can't just produce. It's not a play call. It's a play made. And
a kickoff return.
Yeah.
A-Chain's kickoff
And I'm not
return
saying
is
these
game
guys
changer.
aren't trying to make plays. They are.
Hey,
we just haven't made them yet.
To Roger's credit, I'm over here defending you guys. Everybody fans the way they want to fan. He fans the way he wants to fan,
Sure.
and he wants to hear optimism. And there are fans out there that like, I don't want to hear the negative stuff. Give me the good stuff. That's why I try to examine things from all, and look, we're not always successful at it, but we try to examine. But he did say, follow up, attitude goes a long way for a fan show.
No doubt. Hey, Roger, right? Roger. If I was,
He's in Rose Hill.
I'm not making the trip this weekend, but if I was going to Oxford and I had a Bloody Mary morning and I'm rolling through the Grove, I'd be, yeah, we're gonna win. I mean, yeah, it kind of leads up to game day. As I sit here Thursday morning, maybe.
Yeah. And he says my attitude is I'm gonna stop making this a one-on-one thing, but my attitude is Aggies don't get beat; they just get outscored. Okay.
Okay.
There's true.
He
is actually correct.
That's a great way to look at it. Not everyone looks at it that way. So
We get outscored
I
sometimes.
see us getting beat a lot. So we've gotten beat a whole bunch, and I hate it. I wish we would win more. How about that?
Does Texas
That's how I
get beat
fan.
this weekend with their backup quarterback who played pretty well last week against K-State, a team that's had their number in years past?
That game's in Austin, right?
That game is in Austin.
Here you go, Roger. How about this? Yes, K-State beats Texas because they suck and they're the worst. How about that? I hate them.
This is the weeks. I mean, they've had some close ones, but the rest of their schedule is just, Charmin soft again until the Big 12 championship game. So yeah, K-State's got the best chance. Yeah, I like that. Who'd they beat the crap out of last week? TCU.
They beat Houston.
Houston, that's right.
I'll take K-State. Those guys are well coached, and you got to, the first time the backup quarterback goes in the game, especially when he's a little different than the starting quarterback, like Murphy is. First time he goes in the game, you're like, well, how exactly are they going to play this? They go from a stand there and throw a guy to a move around a little bit and throw a guy to a run a little bit. Their offense changed, and there's a little bit of a scouting tape out there now.
Yeah.
And maybe there was a guy from K-State standing on the sidelines taking videos of the signals. I don't know.
What you got to stop's a running game. Damn, they can run the ball.
Yeah.
Longhorns, I'll give them credit.
Yeah.
All right, number 15, Notre Dame on the road at Clemson.
I mean, golly, who cares? I mean,
Come on, man. Dabo's been in the spotlight all week. He's building the walls around the fortress. He's got.
Well, here's the thing. Some people are wondering, is Clemson going to get bowl eligible? They're 4-4.
Can Dabo rally the troops?
I think it is. I think most of that fan base probably likes that because what he said had some truth this week. Actually liked some of his points. If you look at it in totality, I think Clemson.
His take wasn't bad.
I think Clemson wins straight up.
So let me just give you their schedule. They host Notre Dame. They get Georgia Tech. They get North Carolina. They get South Carolina. It's not an easy. I mean, for a team that's 4-4, that's a rough little stretch coming.
Yeah.
They can win all of those, by the way.
Yeah.
They get the Fighting Haynes Kings.
Hey, I'll trade them. They can have our last 4 games on there. I'll take their last 4 games.
So
I'd rather have their.
Well, we get
schedule
South
than
Carolina again if we do that.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right.
That.
So we all think that Clemson is going. Or what,
I think Notre Dame's going to win.
Okay.
Probably handedly.
See, I'm just not. I'm not big on their offense.
I'm gonna take Dabo rallying the troops.
All right, got another one for you. Number 9, Oklahoma, fresh off a loss at number 22, Oklahoma State. Bedlam for maybe the last time.
Oak State's just getting better. They had a rough start. I said this. Somebody like, well, he's not going to make it. I'm like, they're about to go on a run, and they have.
Yeah, and they were terrible. Who'd they lose to? A Division II school somewhere. I mean, they
South
were terrible.
Alabama or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and now they've gone on a run, and they're the hot team.
We said this was in Stillwater.
This game is in Stillwater. Yeah.
So they've got the momentum. They got home field. I honestly think Oklahoma would probably win that game normally, but I'm all in on Oklahoma State. Go ahead and win.
Gundy's got a lot of Lane Kiffin in him.
I mean, after saying all that, I like Oklahoma in this game, but Oklahoma State's getting a lot better.
Yeah, I'd love to see them win. And they got. I mean, they want lifetime scoreboard because they're leaving. They're angry. Come on, Cowboys. Let's go.
Here's one. Number 5, Washington on the road versus the worst defense in America, USC. Number 20.
Oregon.
It's not
Or
Oregon.
Washington. Sorry, Washington.
They're not playing.
I always get those two mixed up.
Good pick, though.
I'd go with Oregon, too.
Good call. I'd go with Oregon on that one.
How do you pick a USC right now in anything? They're just
They have one
garbage.
They have one player, quarterback, and he's good. That's it.
They may go 7-5, guys.
Yeah.
Here's their record. They got 7 wins already. They've got Washington, Oregon, UCLA.
Jeez.
Where's that Oregon game? It's got to be at Oregon.
It is at Oregon.
They'll
they
probably
could
lose
easily
those
go over right there. Yeah.
Everybody.
That's kind of like North Carolina. And I was trying to figure out who to bust this morning. I couldn't remember who was on the North Carolina bandwagon. And so I was like, Cade, and was it Nick? No, and they said it was Luke. And so he was like, North Carolina's in the playoffs. They lost their last 2, and they finish up with like, I don't know, Clemson, Duke, and somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
LSU, Alabama. Number 14 LSU with that offense at number 8 Alabama.
That might be the best game of the weekend right there.
That is going to be a fantastic football game.
That's going to be a good one. And where are they? Is at Bama?
Tuska. Yeah.
In Tuscaloosa.
I'm taking Bama.
God, I don't know, man.
It's the night game on CBS, isn't it?
6:45 CBS.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be crazy. I like Bama here. I just think Bama's improving.
Yep.
LSU offense, I know they're crazy good. I'm not sold on their defense because they beat Army 62-0. So
if their defense wasn't so bad, LSU's, I'd pick LSU in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Bama's just dadgum Bama. So
Bama finds
I think
ways
I'd go
to
Bama
win.
too in that game.
Bama finds ways to win.
I'm going to do one more just because I'm intrigued with what their record's going to be at the end of the year. So Colorado's 4-4.
Oh.
They take on number 16. They're at home, by the way. Colorado is. It's Oregon State. Colorado 4-4. They finish with Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State on the road, and on the road at Utah.
Ooh.
2 ranked teams and 2 also rans.
4-8. I don't think they win any of those.
I think they get one more win somewhere in that. They're sprinkling one more win, but I'm glad all the Dion talk is finally dead.
Is it dead?
Yeah, I haven't heard much.
Dion
on
won't let it die. Give him time.
That's why he went to the Lakers game with his kid the other day.
No, he's in the news. It's just constant.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
he was banging on his offensive lineman. They can go take a hike last week or whatever.
He did say that.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll get rid of him. He's constantly in the news.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with some little stats. You guys predict some stats. 2% stats. You're going to come back with it, all right?
Sure.
All right.
2%.
2%. It's TexAgs. Bye. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Fan show presented by
Gerard Construction.
Thank you. I had forgotten. I know they're custom something.
We build custom homes, do some whole home remodels. Greg and Jen are great people.
Yeah.
I'm there.
The other dude? Yeah. All right, so what kind of numbers do you expect for Max Johnson to put up? Hunter?
220.
Is that a winnable number? Does he need to be over that?
It would help if he was over that, yeah. But, like I said, if we get a running game going, that's a big if, right? Le'Veon back, you can win with 220.
I'm going to agree with the 220, and I'm going to go with 2 touchdowns.
220, 2 touchdowns.
One of which will be in the second half.
Mateo.
Hopefully 250 with no turnovers. I think that's more important than even 2 touchdowns. There's no turnovers.
Leading back, and how many yards?
If Le'Veon's back, I think it's Le'Veon.
96 yards. All right, just throw that out there.
I mean, we run all 3 of them out there so frequently that all of them have should have somewhere in the 40 to 50 yard range, something like that, and hopefully Max will have somewhere around there. And you get, let's say each one of them gets 50 yards, including Max.
They win that game
rushing.
in that scenario.
We win.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Moss, and I'm going to go with they combined for 150.
Okay. All right.
That's what you need. So I'm going to say Moss or Daniels, they need to be over 80 yards if we're going to have success.
Or Max.
Is this the game?
By the way, if we're right,
like 2 big runs.
Let's put it this way: if we're right and we run. Wow, there's an R in there. We run for 150 and Max throws for 220. Guys, we just had like 370 yards of offense.
Can they win with one guy having an elite game at receiver, or does it need to be that game finally where Anias and Evan put it all together?
Well,
or Noah?
Hey, you saw what Bama did to us with 1 receiver. So yeah,
there's a second guy in the second half. Yeah. There was another guy.
I remember Larry Fitzgerald came to Kyle Field one time. All right, so one guy can.
How about old Army?
And I think it would have to be Evan or Noah probably. Or Nice. One of those 3 could have just an absolutely monster game. So
Noah could do what Larry Fitzgerald did that day. Noah could do that.
Yeah.
Physically, like there was some special stuff there.
You can do it if one guy has a breakout day, but you would like to see 1 and 0 have big games.
Yeah.
How many sacks, guys?
5.
Oh.
4.5.
I'm going 5.
Interceptions? So does the Aggie defense get some interceptions?
We don't.
Forced turnovers.
We just don't. We don't do that very well. We get sacks, so I'm gonna say 5 sacks, 0 turnovers though. Probably a lot of punts on their end.
Hopefully.
If you want the dub, you need a turnover. So
I think we pick up a fumble.
Yeah, and I'll get a pick. Man, we had one last week, right in his hands.
We got
Max
50
Wright had one
seconds,
last week,
guys.
too.
What is a win? Everybody, just quick words. What does a win signify for A&M at Ole Miss? What does it signify for the rest of the season?
That we can win a game on the road, and we can beat ranked opponents, and it is the best way to put our foot forward going into LSU.
Yeah, you got a chance. Again, 10-win seasons with the Bowl and Florida.
Contrary to popular belief, we're not that old of a football team. You look at the starting lineups in the games, everybody, like Bama started like 7 seniors on defense, and we started, I think, 1 or 2 on offense. Same thing when you flipped it over. So a road win tells these guys that while they're experienced, they're still young. So it tells these guys what they can do when they put it together. And young guys with momentum showing what they can do when they put it together, LSU should be very afraid if we win.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, David.
All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Thursday. My thanks not only to these fan show folks, AT, Ryan Swope, Stephen McGee, and, of course, the great Olin Buchanan. Tomorrow on the program, Billy Lucci, the final countdown, Steve and Seth McKinney. And what else do we have? We have one other thing going on. OB will be here. We have other stuff going on. We'll see you then. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you mañana.